My life? My life? Hope I'm alive. I think I'm alive. Well, if I'm not live, that means the guy out in the back room is not live. So we're both not live. Regardless, we're going to still do this, whether it's live or not. And we go forward with it because that's what we do here. So hopefully live. Hopefully there's people watching. Hopefully there's some people. Well, I see a couple people watching. Well, I don't know if they're watching. Maybe they're watching. Maybe they're not watching. Over in Twitcherland, with all the Twitch people, and over here in YouTube world, we're going to get started. Why? What are we going to do? We get started with my I don't know what to call him. Robbie. Well, we'll call him, I don't know, we'll call him something. I don't know what he is to me, but we're going to get deep into the head of Rockin Robbie. Yeah, you know that guy, Rockin Robbie. That guy, he has a cult over there. It's called Pop Culture Philosophers. That guy. We're going to have another influencer. So without further ado, because I'm multilingual, I speak multiple language. I'm going to play an obnoxiously long intro that's extremely outdated because that's what you deserve, people. Enjoy. Hope that got you pumped. Hope my epic intro got everybody pumped. And if it didn't, I'll make it longer next time and it'll get you even more pumped. But that being said, I'm not going to hold our guest over in the back room for too long. We're going to let him come in. And we'll see some hellos to everybody.
Station, what is up, man?
Oh, we're starting already with the stations.
Oh, it's a contractual obligation. So yeah,
we're going to get into that at some point tonight because I blame you solely for this station thing.
Oh man, okay.
I blame you solely for all these degenerates coming into my freaking chats and stationing me left and right. And I don't like the station stuff.
Okay.
I don't like these bizarre type of salutations. And you're the one that started this.
I am not, actually. I stole it from somebody. I stole it from a very popular movie, actually.
Well, I know which movie you stole because somebody explained to me after I berated them for stationing me. And then they told me how they got it. And then I traced it back to you. And then we're like, oh, so this guy's the guy that started all this. But we'll get into that. You want to say some hellos to everybody?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's say a couple quick hellos to everybody. One hello, everybody knows the rules. So we're going to say one hello to everybody, and then that's it. If you come in later on, maybe I'll wave to you. But we're not going to disrupt the conversation just because you came in late, okay? We don't do that. So
maybe we'll poke them, right? Is that a thing the kids still do today? Do they poke people on social medias? Maybe we can do that.
All right, you know what? You got my full permission to poke at anybody you want.
Nice.
All right? You poke, and I'll ignore, and then we'll be good. That being said, we have an early comer in, GTK Comics, who jumped in well over an hour ago and said, thumbs up, thumbs down, or beer. Thumbs up with a beer. All right. And then we got Frog Brawler. Good morning. Well, it's not morning here, but maybe it's morning somewhere. There you go. And then you got Christina Payne, mod extraordinaire. Hello, Christina. And we got Lisa Noble with her googly eyes. She's watching. She's watching. And then we got Papa Wheelie. Quit having people in the back room. Look at this guy. He comes in. This is the only human being, and I think I'm the only channel on this damn YouTube that I get berated and I get insulted by the people that super chat me. Does that happen to you? Do they super chat you and insult you at the same time?
Not usually, but doesn't that make you feel good though? Like they're like, you suck, but here's $5. So
I guess
buy a half a pack of cigarettes, or I guess in New York, like buy a quarter of a pack of cigarettes for you.
Yeah, right. Pretty much. So do you know what we do here on this channel when we thank somebody for a super chat?
No, what do we do?
We only thank everybody in the best possible way you could think. And that's with geriatric nudity, Elvis, and Bollywood midget dancers. So,
nice.
Yeah. So, thank you, Papa.
Thank you very much.
My friends, I thank you from the bottom of my heart.
I want to thank you much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you.
That's way better than having to sing every time somebody sends you one. So that's dope. That's a good idea. I should steal that.
You're more than welcome to get the copyright infringements that I get.
Okay.
Yeah, please.
Fair use, right? Fair use. It's educational. We're talking about the clips, right?
That's right. That's all we're doing. We're talking about it, and it's for science. That's why we're doing it. It's for science. But Beckerman, hello. Of course, you're backing up Papa. Of course, everybody does. And we got John Start. Hello. And I think I got all the hellos that came in here. I got Road Collecting. Stationary one. Oh, you see what you did? You see what you did?
That's what we do, man.
We didn't get one station in here until you started this station thing. And now stations are coming in here again.
Well, Road Collecting is PCP Army, so it's expected. Like, he has to do that. Like I said, contractual obligation. So
wait, hold on a second. You brought your army with you?
I didn't bring them with me, but they just show up everywhere I am. So
that's kind of like Insomniac Nation. They lurk everywhere.
Yeah. Us influencers, we influence, and then we thereby are influenced by them. So
I see what's happening over here. And we got Strange Dog comic stuff. Hello. If you don't know Strange Dog, now you do. And that's it. I think we got all the hellos out of the way. I think we're not going to do any more hellos because we're done with those. And we can get right into this. So first of all, thank you for joining me tonight.
Of course. Thank you for the invite. I've been looking forward to this 100%.
It's been a long time coming, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what kind of relationship we have or coexistence on this YouTube plane between us.
Yeah.
But we seem to be somehow, coexisting in a semi-respectable way, I guess, right?
Yeah, I think so. 100%. We're going to find out for sure tonight what the status of our relationship is. I think it's going to be, it's complicated.
Well, it is complicated because you were involved in some shenanigans last year with those awards. And
was I?
Yes, we all know about the shenanigans.
Okay.
That you were involved in.
The next guy that says shenanigans is going to get pistol whipped. All right. So everybody calm down.
Is that your thing?
No, that's a reference from Super Troopers, the movie. You ever seen it?
Oh, shit. I completely forgot about that. It's been such a long time. You're right.
Yeah. I'm sorry, but once they get the syrup in them, they just act a little crazy or whatever. That's a good movie, Super Troopers. Funny.
It is a good movie. I wouldn't put it in my top movies, but it was a good movie.
Yeah. It's in like top 150 comedies of the 2000s.
Of the 2000s?
Yeah, I would say that for sure.
Maybe. Maybe.
Top 150? Come on, man.
Well, what's your top 3?
Bro, of the 2000s? I don't know. Tropic Thunder. That's a good one.
That's definitely a good
one. Super Bad, I might put in there.
I would definitely put Super Bad. You need McLovin.
Yeah. And I don't know. Off the Dome, maybe Hangover, but probably not. Probably not Hangover. I'm sure I can think of. I would put Super Troopers over that. So I might put that in top 3.
You put Super Troopers over Hangover?
Oh, I would. Hangover's done to death, man. Come on. I mean, it's a fun movie. It's cool, but Super Troopers is it pushes a little bit further, in my opinion. So,
well, I'll tell you what, I'm partial to Hangover because it's somewhat of a documentary of my bachelor party. So I'm a little biased towards that.
I can with the Tiger and Mike Tyson and everything.
Let's not get into it.
Okay. What stays in Thailand? Wait, I messed it up. What happens in Thailand stays in Thailand, right? So there you go.
They modify it for public viewing. It was a lot worse. So let's leave it at that.
Okay.
No, Hangover's got to be in the top 3 from that era.
It was something I thought of, so you at least got to give me credit for that, you know.
But you can't put
40-Year-Old Virgin. I don't like.
It.
I don't like I see Lisa said 40-Year-Old Virgin. I don't like these like 2-hour-long comedies from that era that Judd Apatow fucking did. I don't like that. Can I cuss on here? I can curse, right?
Yeah, we don't have restrictions in cursing, so you get to unleash your pop culture philosopher here.
Okay. Hangover is a little too popular for me. You know how I am. I like to find out what's popular and then kind of try to undercut it just a little.
Yeah, but it kind of turned that way. It wasn't initially popular. Like it didn't come out like it's supposed to be a blockbuster.
Yeah.
Everybody that was in that movie, who was the biggest actor at that time that was in it?
In The Hangover?
You might say even Mike Tyson might have been the biggest name that was in that.
No kidding, because it wasn't dude from The Office. It wasn't Bradley Cooper. Nobody really knew who he was yet, you know? And I mean, maybe what's his name? Zach, whatever, the Between the Ferns guy. He was kind of big.
He was just starting out, and he was more, Yeah. He didn't have any main roles at that point.
Yeah, I like Hangover, y'all. I really do. Oh, I know what my number 3 is. Old School. It's old school. I love.
Was that in 2000 or was that in the 1990s?
I think that's the 2000s.
Was it 2000? What about Office Space? Was that 2000s?
Office Space was the 90s. That movie's great. Right. Yeah, Old School is 2003. So yeah.
All right, then old school.
I'll go definitely Old School just because of my boy Blue. You know what I'm saying? Like that's some good stuff.
We're streaking
through the quad. I love it. Speaker City, right? Earmuffs, all that shit. Yeah, Old School's a great movie. Yeah, Old School's great. Yeah, I would go with those 3 then. Old School number 3, and then the other 2 I said I can't remember.
Well, I'll tell you something. They're not bad. Those choices, not bad. Although I definitely would keep The Hangover as one of the top 3, but Old School definitely has to sneak in there.
Yeah, that movie is. They don't make comedies like that anymore, and Old School and Hangover were kind of like the last gasp of popular comedies to hit that way. I think once Hangover got nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards, it really pissed some people in Hollywood off, probably, and they calmed it down.
Well, are they allowed to make comedies like that anymore? I think they're handcuffed. They're not allowed to.
They can make them. They won't make money, but the only things that make money in the theaters anymore are remakes and reboots. Maybe they need to remake The Hangover. Right. But this time they would switch a bunch of stuff up, I'm sure.
So you're a big movie guy, right?
Yeah, for certain.
You've been to a lot of movies in your lifetime, going to the movies, right?
Yep. It's still pretty much a weekly tradition that I do.
Does it make any sense to you, the fact that they literally put a movie in for 2-3 weeks and then pull it off and put it on digital? It makes no sense to me.
It makes sense in the way that the market works today, but it doesn't make sense as far as what I feel actually makes a movie have legs, which is word of mouth, right? You know, like we're not, neither of us are like in our 20s or even our 30s. You know what I'm saying? But like back in our day, a movie would get to gain traction in the theater because it would be there for a while, right? Mm-hmm. And then they would have the VHS release or the DVD release or the Blu-ray release, and that would add a second bump of revenue. And there are some movies, some of my favorite movies, because I'm a big horror nerd, but there are movies that didn't make anything in the theater, but gained all their traction on the VHS release or rentals or DVD or the secondary market, right? Now you don't really have that because I don't see the revenue in streaming except for like, unless you're on an ad tier, like an ad based tier, right? Like when like, yeah, it's so stupid to me. Like when you release a movie and then like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks later, it's out streaming on Disney Plus or HBO Max or whatever it's called now. You're telling people that the theater experience is not as important as it actually is, but it's not for everybody. I know a lot of people like to chill at home and be able to pause it and smoke their weed or drink their beer and all that kind of stuff. But there's a lot of accommodating theaters nowadays. But there's something magical to me about going into a movie theater, sitting there, sometimes with an audience, sometimes not, but just enjoying this experience of what this movie is, good or bad, right?
Well,
So
especially if you go experience it like IMAX, or if you go experience like in one of these really nice theaters where you get the 3D effects sometimes. And I'm not always a fan of all movies having 3D, but it's nice to see that sometimes at the movies.
Oh,
The
yeah.
surround sound. Not everybody has a full theater at their house.
Exactly.
You know,
and the
it's
IMAX is amazing to watch a movie in, right? And like I got a buddy who is the hugest Dune fan. Like he loves Dune, just the books and everything. He loves everything related to Dune. But he's never seen one of the newer Dune movies in the theater. And I'm like, you're missing it. He's like, well, I got 5.1, 7.1 surround sound. I got a 60-inch TV. No, if you don't watch Dune in the theater in IMAX, you're not really getting that full experience. But that's
there's
just,
certain movies. There's certain movies that it's a whole. Like, listen, you've seen Star Wars, all the Star Wars. I'm sure a million times, all of them, right?
yeah.
It's
Except for Rise of
it's always a
Skywalker, I
different
only
feeling.
watched once. So that's the only one I've ever only watched.
Well, yeah. Well, sometimes it's a little difficult to get through some of it. But I'm saying even when they bring back a Return of the Jedi, Empire Strikes Back, New Hope, they bring them back into theaters occasionally. Just it's a different feeling when you go into that movie and see it with the sound and
Dude, it is. And every time they release one of those movies, like I try to make that showing. Like down here, it's the Fathom events that do it a lot. But like even so much like when they released Casablanca for one of its anniversaries, I went to the theater to see it. That might not be the movie you think of when you're like, you have to go to the theater to see Casablanca, but I did. You know what I'm saying? Because I wanted to see it on the big screen. I remember getting to see Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein as a double feature on the big screen. It blew my mind apart to be able to see it in that. There's something sacred to me about the movie theater, right? It's like a temple or something.
It's an experience. It's an event. And you know what other place can you go with your date in the dark and have a groping fest and nobody's looking at you? It's great.
I know, dude. I went and saw Armageddon 3 times my senior year of high school, or the summer before my senior year of high school, just for that experience. So it was great. It was amazing.
That's how it works. Those in Titanic worked really well for me when that came out. That was my go-to.
You had a lot of time in Titanic to get some stuff done if you needed to.
Titanic was my go-to. I had a full year of Titanic dates. Those were great.
Kidding. Imagine Titanic came out today, right? It'd be in the theater for like 3 weeks, and then it would be on some streaming service, and people be watching it on like a 50-inch TV, which is fine, which is cool. But what's crazy is that most people watch their movie now on their fucking phones or their tablets. And I'm like, it's ridiculous to me. I was like, why, with the rise of technology that we have to consume things like music and movies, and movies are great because it's music and movies. It's all that stuff wrapped up together, right? And we keep, with all this amazing technology we have, getting them shittier and smaller and with shittier speakers. It blows my mind, dude. It blows my mind.
I don't know what it is. I think it's everybody has the attention deficit disorder, and they need to have it on their phone while they're doing something on their laptop and they're doing something on the TV. They can't just sit for 2 hours somewhere and experience that. There's so many movies that would have been a nothing burger if it wasn't for the movies. You take so many movies like that. It was an experience. You said Casablanca. You know, Wizard of Oz.
Dude, I haven't seen that on the big screen. I would love it. I would love it, right? And I'm a big Star Trek guy, right? And my favorite Star Trek movie, unpopular opinion, is the first one, Star Trek the Motion Picture. I
Not
love that
Khan?
movie. When I got to see that for like an anniversary screening, it was like a religious experience, bro. It was like I felt enraptured watching that movie on the big screen. I
Wait,
loved
did
it.
you see Wrath of Khan
I did. I watched Wrath of
in the
Khan on
movie
big screen
theaters?
too. Yep, and I've
Well,
seen
Because there's
Voyage-
nothing like hearing Khan in
Oh,
the
dude,
big screen.
It's great, you know, like, you know, Wrath of Khan's fine. I really like Wrath of Khan. It's my third favorite Star Trek film. But it's definitely the most popular for a good reason, but it's because they were trying to like Star Warsify Star Trek just a little bit, but it worked. And Wrath of Khan is great. Like,
Are you one of those haters for the new stuff that came out for Star Trek?
No, like the Abrams stuff, the
Yeah.
Kelvinverse. No, I liked the first one. I didn't like the second one. And even though I own it on Blu-ray because a friend of mine gifted me the box set that has all of them together, I haven't seen Star Trek Beyond yet. So I can't comment on that one, but I liked the first one. I thought the first one was pretty decent. I liked it for what it was.
You think all the Trekkie nuts are just being assholes about hating it so much? Because I saw so much hate towards those movies when they came out, as far as people like bashing them. And I'm like, all right, I'm not a huge Star Trek guy. I'm more of a Star Wars over a Star Trek guy.
Okay.
But I appreciate Star Trek for what it is.
Yeah.
You know, for
Which-
me,
which
it's all
should
about
be something different than Star Wars, right? It should
absolutely.
be. Yeah.
You know, I'm a William Shatner guy. I love seeing overweight guy banging every alien on Earth, they're like on in the universe. Like, I love that whole thing with Spock. I mean, it was great. And when I watch it, I'm like, this looks really, really good. The Abrams versions look great. And you had all the freaking Trekkies come out of the woodwork and just bash the shit out of those movies.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we haven't had another one yet.
Yeah, Trekkies are weird. Trekkies are weird. I don't consider myself a Trekkie. I consider myself a Trekker. There's a difference to me between a Trekkie and a Trekker. But the
What the
people
hell's the
that
difference?
said like a Trekkie is somebody like, for instance, if I was a Trekkie, I would be wearing like something Star Trek on me right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would go out and cosplay, and not that there's anything wrong with that, but a Trekker to me is somebody that actually just, oh, I like Star Trek amongst many other things. My whole life and identity is not Star Trek, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
It makes sense because I
Like,
can't.
the same thing happens in Star Wars. We just don't have a term for it. Like, there's the people that are like, I enjoy Star Wars. I really like it. There's other things I enjoy. Then there are other people that like any Star Wars project that comes out, any Star Wars news, any Star Wars figures. They got strong opinions. They got to let them be known. They got to let them be heard. And they got to try to educate people on why their opinion is the right opinion.
Well, you know what the difference is between the Star Wars nuts and the Trekkie nuts? Here's the difference. The Trekkies will not pay for the shit. They won't buy all the stuff. They'll embargo it. The Star Wars nuts will shit on it left and right and actually still buy all of the stuff.
They'll still make the movie $1 billion while shitting all over it, right? Well,
That's the difference.
I can say this because I've watched this movie 12 times in the theater. So I don't know. The thing with the new Star Trek stuff,
I
so
have
there's
all
like,
the posters and all the toys and all the
right?
shit.
I know. So I got customers that are like that, right? They're like, they hate either the prequels or they hate the sequels, but they buy the toys. One of my best friends, Jelani, like hates Ben Affleck and really hates Ben Affleck as Batman. You know, the first person I know who bought a Ben Affleck as Batman action figure was that dude. Get out of here. I can't take you seriously now, man. You're still giving them your money. Vote with your dollar. You know what I'm saying? If you don't like it, yeah. But with the new Star Trek stuff, I didn't mind the difference. I thought it was a cool update. The second one I didn't really like for some reason. The one where they used Khan, but they were trying like, oh no, Benedict Cumberbatch is not Khan. Oh, just kidding, he is. And then they take that awesome ending of Wrath of Khan and they think they're clever by just switching it. You know what I'm saying? And it didn't work for me. But I haven't seen Beyond, but I hear Beyond's actually kind of fun. And the new shows, like I like Discovery enough, but I've only seen like the first season and a half. I haven't watched Strange New Worlds. I don't keep up with it like I used to. Back in the 90s, that was when, especially in reruns, every night I could watch TNG, I could watch DS9, I could watch Voyager. I never liked Enterprise, but then I could watch TOS, and I love the original series. TNG's like, and DS9 are like, that's my bread and butter. And Voyager's all right, but I thought Enterprise sucked for the most part. But
I don't know, they kind of lost me. They lost me a little bit after Generations. I got into which one was the one with Scott Bakula?
Enterprise.
That was all right. I thought that was all right. It was not horrible.
Okay.
Picard, I liked.
The show Picard?
Yeah.
See, I watched the first 2 seasons. I didn't watch the third one yet. I hear
I
the third
haven't
one's
watched all
pretty
of it.
good. The first
third
season
one.
I liked, but I had some issues with it. The second season I thought blew, to be honest with you. So I didn't want to come back for that. But I don't know. It's just sometimes
It intrigued me. It intrigued me enough to watch enough of it. Like I can't get into these series unless you pulled me in from the get go. There's got to be something to get me. And I'm not that deep into the Star Trek mythos. That's really going to get me. If you're going to strike me with nostalgia and hit me, I know there's a series. I don't know what the name of the series is, that they're redoing everything like with the original Captain Kirk roles and the Spock roles and all that stuff.
you're talking about Strange New Worlds, I think is what it's called.
That's the one I'm intrigued and I want to watch, because those are the characters I enjoy as far as.
I want to see that too. I like Star Trek was cool because I always thought, especially TNG and DS9, they were very clever shows.
Stargate was very good.
I'm not really a Stargate guy, so I don't have any comments on that. But since Bueller says it, I guess I'll agree with it. That's one of my best friends. But like all these books right there behind me, those are all Star Trek books. For instance, like I've read the novels. I grew up with this shit. I loved it, but I loved that they would have these like complex conundrums for like Picard and Cisco and Kirk and the crews to get through, right? To kind of have to think out and I rewatch some of them now and I'm like, these aren't as clever as I thought they were when I was like 13, which makes sense. But I still think it's some of the best television we've ever had. So
yeah, I mean, part of the charm was the campiness that it had to it as well. You know, it was a good stuff. So we jumped straight into pissing off Star Wars and Trekkies right now, and we didn't even get into you right now. So why don't we take a pause right now and just talk about a little about you, just in case there's people that are watching right now that don't know who you are. Let's talk about who this Rockin' Robbie guy is. Who's this leader of the pop culture philosophers? Okay. So I'm going to give you a second just to talk about yourself and just give a little introduction to everybody, and then we'll get into a couple more things. But tell everybody who the hell you are.
I'm Rockin' Robbie, Pop Culture Philosophers. We started it in 2015. It came out of a podcast I used to do called the Smile or Else Show, which spawned out of I used to do. So back in as far back as elementary school, we would make these quote unquote radio shows. Me and my cousins, then me and my friends, and we would just get together with our like little microphone and recorder, and we would make like a fake radio show. And then one time, so I used to be involved with a hip hop group, believe it or not, and we were starting our website, and we were like, well, let's just start a website for the production company, Smile or Else Productions. And my buddy Kevin, who was my partner in the hip hop group, said, we need something that will bring people back every single week. Right. So I was like, a what? Like, we have to film a video every week, like something silly. So like, we got to make like a short film. He's like, no, something like a podcast. And I remember this is back in like 2010, 2012. And I was like, what's a podcast? He was like, oh, it's like a radio show, but on the internet. I was like, I used to do that in school. Like, and it became like a little bit of a deal where like people would be passing around these tapes. Right. That's where Rockin' Robbie comes from. Because I thought it was cheesy and campy to have alliterative names, right? So I was Rockin' Robbie, and the show was called Rockin' with Rockin' Robbie. Because to me, that sounds like cheesy morning show radio stuff. But we did this podcast, and then I had an experience that kind of changed the way I thought about stuff, and I wanted to go into YouTube, and I wanted to make content just talking about movies and pop culture and shit like that. And I came up with the idea of Pop Culture Philosophers because I like to dive a little bit deeper into the fiction that I consume. Some things are just entertainment, but some things are, what's the difference between a Sunday school lesson and one of the greatest movies you've ever seen that changed your life, So we started Pop Culture Philosophers around the era of DC Rebirth. I started doing like comic book reviews, and I noticed that they were like gaining some traction. And initially I was like, nobody cares about comics. More people care about movies. But then that led us into the comic book world. And I started doing the weekly comic book review. That was in 2016 in October. So we're about to hit a 7-year anniversary on that one, I believe. Or my math wrong. That's the 8th year anniversary, I believe. Whatever. We're about to hit another anniversary for that. But so yeah, I'm Rockin' Robbie of Pop Culture Philosophers. We talk about comics, movies, pop culture, and a whole lot more. It's the home of the weekly comic book review, which I do believe might be it's the best comic book review show on YouTube, in my opinion. But no,
I have the other review guys dispute that. But
there's plenty of great reviewers out there. I think Sleepy Reader 666 is so great. I love Damien. I got to meet and hang out with him. I think Nick from Comic Culture is great. There's a new kid on the block, Eric from 9 Panel Grid. He's great. There's a lot of people that are really good at comic book reviews. And the thing is, a lot of people can be the best comic book reviewer on YouTube because we all have different opinions. And it's about the authenticity of those opinions and how we deliver them. But I think since Jim stopped doing the weekly reviews, I think I'm the most watched maybe, but I'm not 100% certain on that. But I think the comic book YouTubers, the guys that do the weekly, the new comic book day guys, I think we're better than the rest of the internet, like Newsarama and comic book resources. I don't even think some of them really do it anymore, but like those written reviews that you read now, like the days of Wizard are far gone. And I think that we are the new Wizard here on comic books on YouTube. Right. But that's what we do. We do PCP movie night. Where we gather every week and talk about a movie. We do the weekly comic book review and Rockin' Robbie Live, which is one of my favorite things to do because I get to actually communicate with the cult, as you call it, of the PCP army. So, but that's who I am. What's what I do. I'm a dude who likes to read a lot of comic books and watch a lot of movies and talk about them. So
well, there's a lot more to you than that, and we'll get into that. But based on what you just said, as far as the reviewer and feeling that you're better than everybody else, I really believe that if you're going to be putting out content, and you have to feel confident in yourself, and always feel that you're doing the best out there. Yeah, you're not going to snub anybody else that's doing whatever it is that they're doing. You'll acknowledge them, but at the same time, in order to be the best, you got to really believe that you're the best, right?
Well, it's kind of like if you get into anything where you're in the public eye in any kind of way, and comic book YouTube is so small compared to other people that are like musicians or comic book creators or filmmakers or anybody else, right? Broadcasters that are out there with big platforms. It takes a lot of balls to put yourself out there. And it does take a certain kind of energy. You do have to have an inner quality of confidence to be able to do it. Because otherwise, I think you're just going to be boring, if that makes, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to see people that are being boring. Now, when I say I'm the best, I'm just usually like, a lot of what I say when I'm dicking around is just kayfabe. You know what I'm saying? I'm just kind of playing around, talking shit. That's one of my favorite things to do.
Oh, there's nothing wrong with that. And I'll tell you something. But before I tell you something, any reviewer is better than me because I don't do reviews. But if I did reviews, I would be the freaking best out there. I guarantee you. All right? You freaking Lords of Brooklyn. Everybody's trying to aggravate me. But that being said, I think that in order to do a proper review, you got to have a couple things. One, you got to be knowledgeable of the stuff, which you have. Okay, you're knowledgeable about you're not just picking up the stuff from the LCS and showing it and saying, "Look at this. This is what we got. Look, the cover's nice," and you don't even know you're reading the previews summary basically. You got a lot of people that are like that, very robotic, very methodical, but during what they do. The other thing is you got to have some decent production. You know, the one thing I will give you a lot of credit for, and I do appreciate a lot, is that you take a lot of ownership as far as how you look on screen. It matters to you as far as building some kind of aura, some kind of environment, aesthetic behind you, the music that you play, the clips that you play. There's a production value to that. You're not just sitting there in front of a wooden table showing stuff and that's it, you know, with crickets in the background.
Well, I watched when you had my buddy Jim Mint on last time, and you brought up the production quality, and Jim Mint was like, I would disagree. And I would agree with Jim Mint. Like, and I've told him this personally, like, oh yeah, dude, I hate editing videos. I won't do it. I try to do everything in one take. Screw all that. But I'm glad that you like the lights, and I did get this idea from
Listen, you don't have to do a million cuts of a video. You don't have to do a million edits of a video.
Who's got time for that, man?
But if you actually set yourself up, you have a decent background, you have a good environment in front of you, and you present well, and you're not sitting there with a pizza stained T-shirt and like on a wooden table and scratching your ass while you're talking. You know, that's all production value for me. That's how I look at it. And then the other thing is that not everybody can have, and that's, you know, either you have it or you're not, and you could somewhat develop that over time, and that's charisma. You know, and that's a really important thing when you're on screen, to be able to have something charismatic about you, whether you're pulling people in a positive way, a negative way, or anything in between. You're at least pulling people into you. And that's something that I don't think everybody quite understands how important that is. You could be that guy on the wooden table with the pizza stained shirt and have absolutely awesome charisma, and that's all you need if you got an overwhelming type of personality. But when you kind of combine everything all together, that's how you're able to put together a good program. And that's why I think your reviews excel over many of the other reviewers that are out there, because you kind of put a combination of all that stuff together.
Man, well, I think this is the nicest thing you've ever said to me. So thank you. I appreciate
Well,
that.
I'm gonna be honest with you on that. And I had no issue with you getting that award for being a reviewer.
Best comic book review. Yeah.
Now,
They've given that award out 2 times, and I've won both times. So we got our fingers crossed for a third. So yeah, that's the one I think I really deserve. So
now the hair thing I think is fraudulent. It's a little fugazi, that award. And I'll tell you why.
Okay.
I'll tell you why. When you think of the comic book community, do you think of well-groomed human beings? Do you think of people with nice Vidal Sassoon haircuts? Do you think of people with nice, neatly cut beards? Because I don't.
But why not? Why not?
How do you beat out?
Why can we not subvert the expectation of that trope of the comic book guy? You know what I'm saying?
Because it's not a beauty contest. It's a mutant contest. That's the difference. That award was meant for the mutants, with the people with the bizarre haircuts, the beards, the mustaches. Oh, and to troll my hands, by the way, which I take a lot of offense, by the way, of lumping my hands in with all the mutant beards and haircuts out there. Because you know how hard it is to be able to hold people watching right now. We got 26 people watching. I don't know whether they're watching from YouTube or whether they're watching from Twitter, Twitch, wherever they're watching. We got 26 people at the moment watching. Hands talking to a head. Okay? There's a craft in that. There's some. There really is. And like, people have told me, not just on YouTube, but in real life, that I use my hands to tell a story, right? And you have that quality. You 100% do. And that's why you got my vote in that category this year, bro. Well, I don't know.
And I told everybody last year that I was not going to accept a best hair nomination like this year, but I was going after best hands because I thought that would be funny, but it didn't work out. So, you know, even the power of the PCP army can't always come up against some of the lovely hair and beards and mustaches and hands that are nominated this year. But I would encourage everybody to go vote for Comic Journey, because he would hate winning that award. and I think everybody should vote for him.
No, the only reason people would vote for me to win that is because they would want to hear what I have to say once I win it. That's the only reason. Not because I'm going to get. I don't. You know what? I don't need an award. You know why I don't need an award? Because I have an award. I have a Dundee. All right. I don't need a comic book award, community award. I have a Dundee, and that's it. That's all I need. And it has candy in it too. But so some asshole said this to me. Like, what am I supposed to do with this?
Fucking get the candy, dude. Do a live unboxing. Maybe you can get nominated for best unboxing next year.
I get random things sent to me in the mail from bizarre fans. I get Dundee awards. I get cans of spam sent to me.
Dude, I'm jealous. I love spam. Spam's great.
Yeah, it'd be great if you know who it's coming from.
You just gotta check it for like syringe holes, man. That's all.
Yeah. Don't put your mailing address to the publicly out there unless it's necessary. Because I'll tell you something. I get random cans of spam sent to me, and the return address. You know what the return address is? My address. So they put my address as the sending address and the return address as my address. So I don't know who the hell it's coming from.
It's from spam themselves. They're trying to get you to be a sponsor. It's from Hormel or whatever the fuck it is.
Freaking figures.
That's funny.
But that being said, you have normal, a nice human being haircut and a beard. You should not have. You should not be in that. And I feel that whole fiasco is fraudulent.
Yeah. Well, it's a joke category, bro. Let's be honest, right?
I told you, it's meant to troll me.
Yeah,
that whole thing was meant to troll me.
It's a joke category. All right, so this is what happened. So the first year the CBC Awards comes and goes, I get nominated for a few things. I don't win anything, but it's fine. It was an honor to be nominated. It really was, right? And nobody knew anything about the CBC Awards in year one, right? Then year two rolls around and they add the best comic book review, and I win that. And I was like, oh, this is awesome. I was very proud of that. Like, I thought this was super cool. And then in between, they asked me, Brian and Marcus, they were like, hey, we want the bigger channels. And I don't think I'm a big channel, right? Like, I know some people are out there like, oh, Robbie's using his followers, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter what the subscriber number is. What matters is like how many people are actually there for these live streams. And none of us are very far away in those numbers, right? Of like being able to engage in a solid group of people, right? So like, I've never considered myself one of the big dogs. I got friends, you know, like Jim Mint and Near Mint Condition, Comic Tom. These dudes are huge. You know what I'm saying? So to me, I'm still small fish in the small pond, right? But I was like, all right, I'll talk about it. Sure. So I mentioned it. And if you know anything about PCP or me and my homies and my crew and the PCP army and my friends and the PCP family, we love doing bits, right? So I was like, if I'm going to promote this thing, I'm going to make a bit out of it. And I'm going to tell people, yo, I want to be voted for this and this and this and this. And I added in the best hair because for years I was wearing the backwards Yankees cap, right? And then I met my girlfriend around that time. She's like, you have beautiful hair. And at your age, I'm 43 now. And she's like, at your age, having such a like thick, full hair, that's nice. You should like actually like own that, right? So I did, and I added in that, like, and plus because everybody, when I took that hat off, which if you look at older videos, I'm not wearing a hat, but they're gotten to a routine where I thought that was my character, right? You know, the backwards cap, the fucking hoodie zipped up and shit like that, right? And so I kind of was doing that, and when I took that hat off, I got so many fucking comments about it that we made it a bit. Hey, vote for me for best hair. And then the shitty thing is, they say I got nominated for best beard. And I would 100% agree with everybody out there. I do not have the best beard in the comic book community, but I will goddamn tell you this. I have some of the best hair in the comic book community. I don't care if it's Jimmy Neutron, if it's normal or well-groomed. Yeah, I keep up with it. That ain't easy.
It's plasticky.
A lot of people. He's like that fake plastic hair that like dolls wear, like fucking those. Yeah. Oh my God. No, it's wonderful hair, and I'm very, very proud of that award. I will never accept a best hair award again because I said that last year, and I mean it. But the thing is, they
How
said
did
it
you
was best
feel?
weird, but
How
it's not.
did you feel the first time I called you Jimmy Neutron?
I fucking laughed. I cracked
Did
up,
you
dude.
get did you get that right away? Why I was calling you Jimmy Neutron? Because some people they were like, "Why are you calling him Jimmy Neutron?" I'm like, you got to figure it out.
Yeah, the fucking faux hawk thing or whatever that sometimes
Yeah.
happens up here. Yeah, dude, I get it, 100%. Look at that. Like I was ready, dude. Like I understand so somebody messaged me one day. They were like, "There's a bunch of grown ass men bitching about you winning best hair." And I was like, where? And so I went and I fucking looked it up and I saw you guys chatting and you said the Jimmy Neutron bit. Dude, it cracked me up. That's why I commented Jimmy Neutron. That's a fucking good one because I like to shit talk my friends and I like fucking around with people and shit talking. Like that's one of my things. And I never took offense like at all. And if you were trying to offend me, I'm sorry. I don't think you were because I think we're of the same kind in the fact that we like to bust balls. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not against some ball busting. I really appreciate it. Actually, I thought it was fun.
I think there's a difference between breaking balls and a difference between really trying to get somebody like, you know, you're not even losing it. If you were losing a little bit of hair and I started getting the Rogaine thing, then you're like, oh shit, he's getting a little personal now. I'm losing my hair and that kind of thing. But
yeah.
You know,
if I started losing my hair, though, I wouldn't take it that personally. But at the same time, I got friends who have been losing their hair for 20 years now. And I would never make one of those kind of cracks at them. You know what I'm saying? Because there are certain people that take it personal. I don't take a lot of shit personal. So, no, I thought the Jimmy Neutron bit was funny because, and I said this on a Rockin' Robbie live recently, because people were, you know how some people want drama to spawn up. You know what I'm saying? And they were talking about, blah, 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 calls you. And I was like, no, his Jimmy Neutron bit's funny because that's not like the most popular movie, but it's still recent enough in some of our collective consciousnesses that it's super fun. It's super fun. I thought it was it wasn't super obvious, but at the same time, most people know what you're saying. I thought it was great. And Bueller's right. I bust balls a lot. That's what happened. He saw me and my homies. He got to hang out with me and my crew a couple weekends ago, and he knows how we are. So
I don't think you're very comedic, though. You should not be comedic.
I didn't campaign for that one, my friend.
Walrus Man is comedic on your
Let me
channel.
tell you something. Let me tell you something about that dude. I showed him that shit, and I was like, "Look, he said you got a walrus mustache. This motherfucker wasn't the same for like 2 weeks, and then he trimmed that shit up, dude. I think you got to him. I'm not even lying. I was like, no, dude, he's just fucking around. Your mustache is great. It is a walrus mustache. I was like, you look like that dude. And was it Alice in Wonderland trying to eat all the oysters or whatever the fuck it was?
Why would he do that? Why would he cut that thing off? That's his identity. He's Walrus Man.
Words have power, CJ, and you got to him, man.
Holy so I got Walrus Man to cut his mustache. All right.
He didn't. He trimmed it up significantly, though, man. It's not quite as walrusy. And even that day, I was like busting his balls. I was like, you got to get food in that. That can't be comfortable. Like if I eat a hamburger, if I haven't had a trim in like 4 or 5 weeks, I eat a hamburger, I'm like pulling fucking hair into my teeth. That's uncomfortable, man. But he has a wonderful mustache and you fucked with him a little. You walrus shamed him, as K-pop says. I told him I was going to tell you that too, man. So
I've done worse.
Hope you're happy, CJ.
All right, I've done worse to people. I made a man cut his mustache. What am I going to tell you?
You're like, you're not comedic. This intro's not comedic. This isn't comedic. That guy's walrus mustache is comedic. I didn't push for that. I'm not a comedy channel. I said, why the fuck did I get nominated for this? People say,
listen, I don't know how I got involved in that either.
I voted for you, though, just so you know, brother.
I haven't voted yet.
No, I voted for you. You should vote for yourself too.
You might sway me.
You should bet for yourself every once in a while, bro. Place the bet on yourself. You deserve it. You're worth it, bro.
I'm very confident in myself. I believe in myself. I don't care about shit. Like
you cracked me up with the Jimmy Neutron bit, dude. That alone. I mean, like a freaky Loki. Like he probably deserves that. I don't know who the other guy is. Sticky Goose, me and you. Are we really funny or are we just assholes?
That's what I was saying. The three of us kind of don't belong in that. Like, Are we doing like bits and skits on a regular to make that happen?
Not really. I do bits, but it's mostly like shit on Rockin' Robbie Live, but it's not like it's just running a joke into the ground. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm the kind of guy that's like, oh, that's stupid. That didn't land. Let's do it 89 more times until it becomes a bit. And then everybody in the chat's doing it. And that shit cracks me up. It's great.
See, the comedy that happens here is usually accidental. It just some combustible situation happens.
I get what you're saying. There are people out there who like take their time to like figure out a way to make their content comedic. It's an injustice to them for that. And at first I was telling everybody not to vote for me. And then my ego got involved and now I want to win it for some reason. So now I'm telling everybody to vote for me. But for the most part in the CBC Awards this year, and once again, I doubled down. I'm trying to help spread the word of these awards or whatever. I'm not going to, and last year I didn't think, like I was busy the night that they did the awards because, and I was at a place that I didn't have, I was at my buddy's, I have a good friend who's a wrestler and I was out of town at one of his wrestling events and there was no connection there. So I couldn't even like chat when I was hearing that it was happening, right? Because I would get these IG messages, hey, you won this. I didn't think I was going to win all that shit, bruh. Not at all. And otherwise I would have been disrespectful not to be there. I don't think we're not going to clean up this year like we did last year. We got some very stiff competition. But there's nothing wrong, I think, with campaigning for yourself, trying to spread the word of these. But like, for real, I don't deserve most comedic content creator unless the people that vote decide so. I want it now, but it's almost just so that I can make it a bit for the next year. But is that the reason why to win an award? You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, like what I'm proud of this year is I told everybody last year after we won, I told everybody in the inner circle, I was like, next year is going to be about y'all. And I'm super proud that we got Nick Comic Culture nominated a couple times. We got 9-Panel Grid nominated. Fable finally for Community Builder. I think he deserves that. Two Gun Pedro for the Blue Wrench Award. Two Gun Pedro is like the biggest blue wrench in my chat. Like that dude is super supportive of me and everything I do. And I even got my homies Jelani and Brooks nominated for Go Figure Reviews. And my buddy Jelani was so proud of that for being nominated for Best Toy or Statue Review. And they're a new channel and I think they're like 400, 500 subs or something. I don't know. But he was so proud of that. He called his parents to fucking tell him. And then I had to tell him like, well, you're up against Jim Mint. So
good luck with that.
Yeah. You know, he's probably going to win, but just the fact that enough people went out, like that's what makes me really happy this year. And if you go back and watch some of my videos, I like to do the little bit like, yeah, vote for us. Yeah. But for real, vote for whoever you want, but please vote for these dudes because it means a lot to me that they're getting recognized this year.
So in all actuality, these things do matter to you. When you win them, you feel proud. You enjoy the fact that you got the awards.
Of course I feel proud because we have built a community collectively as Comics YouTube, but we all have our individual communities, right? And I am the PCP Army, that's what we call them. It's a tribute to Kiss, the Kiss Army, right? So I'm so proud of them because they maintain the tenets of pop culture philosophers, right? And when I first came up with this idea, I was like, I need 3 things that are the ideals of what we are: positive, entertaining, and insightful. And the PCP Army, they're insightful. So when they come out and they show that support and they vote, that's super awesome. And it's a nice thing. Like when I have friends over, my girlfriend, family, my girlfriend's family, like when they come over and they see those things, they're like, oh, you are a real deal. You're not just some schlub that works at a comic shop that streams online some bullshit. You know, it gives a little bit of validation to what I do and to what everybody else does here. So yeah, they do mean something to me. The Best Hair Award has a personal significance because I ditched the hat and started having, I don't know, I hit a point in my life where I felt like, man, I'm fucking over 40. I'm single. I think everything's done. And then life found a way to like be like, nope, that's not the case. You still got a lot of energy and a lot of things to live for. And the hair represented something to me. So I'm proud of that. I'm proud of all. It hit on
your vanity.
What's that?
It hit on your vanity.
Yeah, of course it did, man. Yeah. I got an ego. Like you said, you got to have confidence to do this kind of thing. You got to have a little bit of an ego. You got to have a healthy ego though. And that's why I keep a lot of people around me that talk a lot of shit about me, like friends that we all, like I said, we break balls because we're keeping each other grounded while at the same time lifting each other up, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so let's jump into your friends and into the army that you put together, because it's an interesting dynamic that you have going over there. You have a lot of people. Like you mentioned Nick. You mentioned a Fable, and there's a lot of other individuals that branched off from being followers of yours that started creating their own content and started to develop their own brands and personalities. Is that something that you methodically thought about doing, or like targeted doing with your group from the get-go, or is this something that developed that way?
The way that, so when I first started, I told all of my homies that I wanted to be a part of this. And there were a bunch, right? There's some, if you look at our earliest videos, there are people you're like, who's that guy? Right. And I told everybody, it's like, I'm going to do this. If you want to do it with me, I would love for you to be on podcasts and movie reviews and shit like that. And if you are down, I'm always down with you. Right. But as far as like the PCP Army Bad Batch Network, right? Fable and Nick and Big Herm and Eric and Manny and
It's nice
so
to
many
see Hart
others I'm
coming back
forgetting.
again.
Brother Joseph, all these dudes, right? Like, I never intended that. I didn't have anything to do with that, actually. They all met each other in my chats on Rockin' Robbie Live. Mostly probably during 2020, the COVID years, the big expansion that we had in our community then. There's Brother Joe. What's up, man? So they all got to know each other in the chats, and they started a back chat on Instagram that I wasn't even a part of for like a couple years. Because I asked them, I was like, I didn't, y'all have a special chat? Can I be a part of it? But they all met each other and they started talking to each other. They would do video chats and shit like that. And a couple of them were like, you know what? We could do content. So some of them started doing content. Some of them don't do content anymore. Some of them never tried to do content. Some of them are just now doing content for the first time. Eric the Stash, I'm looking at you. But that had nothing to do with me. And to me, that's like an honor to like be able to inspire people like that. But more so than, it's more important to me, not just to inspire them to do their own thing and be creative and just try to get their voices heard. But what was really cool was to see a community of really tight-knit friends bond from the only connection they had was popping into my chats on Sunday nights. Like, that means a lot. And that is all Fable. Like the PCP Army Bad Batch, that's all one collection down. That's all Fable. That's a dude you should have on here sometime, because he is the pillar of the community. And I think he's a better leader than me. He's a better dude than me. And I have nothing but love for all of those dudes, and especially Fable. He is.
Well, Fable's a good guy.
He's super. They're all great dudes. But Fable too. Yeah, he's right up there near you for now. So
yeah, he's one of my people.
Yeah, he is.
No. I listen. I actually looked from the sidelines, looking at how that whole thing developed, and I thought to myself, there had to be some kind of methodical approach of how to go. They all went doing that, because it's not that different from what we did with the craziness that we do on our side of the YouTube. A lot of channels that I interact with, we all started growing together in a different way as well. So that happens. It's a click. It's a kind of click thing. You guys have that station click going on, and it's grown in a way where it's really giving a lot of attention to, I guess, some of the channels and some of the personalities that are on there that normally wouldn't have the ambition or the initiative to want to start their own programming and their own content and stuff like that. So it's nice that you actually gave people that inspiration to want to do that.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, like, it takes a lot of balls to put yourself out there. You know what I'm saying? Anybody that does this has my respect.
Or stupidity.
For that. But to
see, or stupidity. Some people do have stupidity.
That's true. But no, I'm super proud of those dudes, and they've become my actual friends. And I've met a bunch of them in person. I haven't met Fable in person. I cannot wait for that day. I'm going to give him a big smooch right on the lips. I hope you're ready for it, brother. It's going to happen. But those dudes inspire me to be better because I'm like, damn, they think we're like this. But what I love is they're around that message of, and that's what Station's about. So the Station shit started because we did a series of reviews on
I
the Bill
hate
and Ted
Station.
movies, right? We did the series of reviews on Bill and Ted, and my buddy Jay Strick, who was a part of the channel at the time, would always throw up the station. And then they ran with it. They fucking ran with it, dude. And
Into the ground. So they ran with it to the ground. I hate Station.
I love it, dude, because what it means to us is be excellent to each other and party on, right? And so when they're saying that, that's what it means. Be excellent to each other and party on. And to me, that's like a tenet of life is be cool with people, be beyond cool, and fucking enjoy your life. Stay positive and love your life, right? And that when I was so proud when somebody jumped into my live chat one day, they were like, dude, everybody just jumped into, I don't even remember who it was. Everybody jumped into their streams and just started spamming the chat. And I was like, oh, then I told people, don't go spam, but like carry on this message. What does station mean? And that's the question we get the most. What does station mean? And they're always like, it's from Bill and Ted. It means be excellent to each other and party on, dudes. Like that's what we're about, man. Be cool and have fun.
Well, that's how my first experience with the station was. I got spammed to death with the station.
And you're like, what's going on? What station? The Death Star? The radio station? What's going on?
This had to be like 3-4 years ago, something like that. And I'm like, what's with the freaking station? Stop with the station. I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
So
then I tried to do the pop boom thing, which isn't as popular, but I thought that was stupid, and so that's why we continued on with that.
Be winners.
No,
they're not all going to be winners.
This is how you gotta in YouTube. Sometimes you gotta just workshop it live and see what happens. You know what I'm saying?
Trust me, I feel way more times than I freaking succeed. But.
Yeah, but station's not even my creation or even their creation. It's just something we adopted from the Bill and Ted movies, which is funny because I had Chris Matheson on the channel, who's the co-creator of Bill and Ted, the son of Richard Matheson, and he wrote with Ed Solomon those 3 Bill and Ted movies and a bunch of other stuff. And I had him on the channel, and the station stuff was like weeks away from fully developing. Could you imagine if he showed up and just got a wall of stations? He would probably be like, what the fuck is going on here, man?
No, people. The reason I'm not in there all the time is because you're usually streaming during my work hours. That's usually why. But that being said, one of the things that you and your little clique over there have been smart enough to avoid is drama.
You think
How do you do that?
Well,
for the most part, really, for the most part, you guys are relatively. Yeah, drama free. You don't really get involved with a lot of other nonsense that happens on other channels. You don't get dragged into the mudslinging, that kind of stuff. How do you stay pretty much drama free from your environment? Because you do have a large group, and I'm sure you get your trolls that show in every so often to start riling people up.
Of course.
How do you avoid that?
Well, what does station mean? Let's have a history lesson, CJ. What does station mean?
To be excellent and proper. Well, yes, I know what station means.
Yeah, that's why. I mean, because that's how we live our lives, man. And here's the thing, man. Like, people try to do that. They try to get you like embroiled in the drama or whatever, but that's not what we're about. That's not what we are. But here's the thing. There has been drama behind the scenes amongst me and some of the clique. Like in our circles, there has been drama. We don't make it public because we handle that as men and women personally, and the show must go on and we move along. And that's how you be excellent to somebody that you're having beef with, is that you keep it private, you keep it personal, and you don't air dirty laundry out. Right now, we don't have a lot of drama because for the most part, we're all like-minded individuals. We love comics, we love movies, we love pop culture in general. And we love sharing that love. We love talking about these things. We love diving deep into these things. Like, just wait till Monday when I'm asking everybody, what is Ghoulies 2 really saying? And we're going to pull shit out of our ass that people are going to be like, what? Because we're trying to find the good, not just in our fiction and pop culture, but in each other. And when you look for good, that's what you find. When you look for bullshit, that's what you find. You know what I'm saying? And what do you focus on? What do you spend your time dwelling on? I'm a big believer in what you think about, you bring about, what you talk about, you walk about. And I want a life, positivity and love and friendship and excellency and partying. That's the kind of dude I am. One of the biggest compliments I've ever gotten was when I met Sleepy Reader 666, Damien. And at the end of that weekend, he goes, you are exactly the dude that you are on stream. And I am not disappointed. It was super fun hanging out with you. That's what we're trying to do.
Damien's a good guy.
He's a great dude. He's a pillar of the community as well. He's been doing this longer than most of us. You know what I'm saying? Without all the accolades, without going out there having to do bits and shit like that. Damien is one of the realest, coolest dudes. I rode the slingshot with that dude. We bonded for life right there, dude. 100%.
So now that you got Damien and mention him. Okay, so, and we were talking about the awards a little earlier. One of the things I've said time and time again since the first time they did that, you know, they used to call it the Lifetime Achievement Award, then they turned it into the Hall of Fame, etc., etc. I said, stop with the fucking voting. Pick a handful of people every year, throw them in this Hall of Fame because they deserve to be in the Hall of Fame of YouTube in the comic community. Don't make them compete against each other because of popularity. Just do it on merit. And a guy like the Sleepy Reader shouldn't have to go up against a Comic Tropes or a Gem Mint or a Comic Tom because it's a popularity contest at that point. Put the guy in because he deserves it. Like him, a Metarog, other guys that really have done really good stuff. Yeah, they don't have 100,000 subscribers, but they have been a pillar of the comic community. Why not just say, hey, we're honoring you guys for doing that. You're going in every year.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that make a lot more sense?
Then I think it would, but so the CBC awards are basically set up like the People's Choice Awards, right?
Popularity contest.
Yeah, exactly. It's like who gets the, you know, who can get the most votes, right? Whatever. Like before me, it was Reggie Collects, right? And everybody was on his ass about it, right? Didn't he win most comedic content creator one year?
How the hell is he funny?
I don't know. Cool dude, but funny. I don't know. I don't think I'm funny,
yeah.
right? But I think funny people don't think they're funny, but I don't know. I digress. The thing with that is then you would have people. Okay, so let's say that Brian and he had a crew that figured out who was going to win the Hall of Fame or the Lifetime or the Stanley Award, whatever it's called.
Well, right? It's not even a win. They're being honored.
It's not. Yeah, it's an honor, right? And I think that's how it is in the Academy Awards, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where they do have like some people, but maybe like I think like maybe that award, maybe they could reach out to some people that they think are like important in the community or whatever. So people like you, right? People like Bueller. People like Jim Mint, people like Comic Tom, people like Comics Explained, even Comics Tropes. Like, go out to those guys, be like, who do you think deserves it? Or some of us smaller guys. Like, that would be cool. And like you said, not like these 5 people are up for it. Who's gonna win it? Typically, Hall of Fame shit's not done like that, right? So
that never happens. That never happens like that in the Hall of Fame. It's basically a crew of writers that basically decide who's going to go into the Hall of Fame.
That's true. And it's based on, well, like, for instance, who's won that award? I know Bueller's won it. I think Bueller deserves it.
Absolutely. 100%. I have no problem with that. Tropes won it last year.
Tropes won it. I think Tropes deserves it. I think, in my opinion, the people that are the Hall of Fame in this community right now would be Damien. There would be Cartoonist Kayfabe, 100%.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And Comic Benny at Comic Storian. You know, RIP for him and Ed Piskor. 2 tragic losses.
See, that's the thing. Why would you? The man passed away. Why is he on a ballot to be voted against other? Just put him in.
That's true,
Just,
right?
Just
and
put him in.
Yeah, for sure. And it's unfortunate, the circumstances there. I also think Rob over at Comics Explained deserves to be in there.
He's my vote every single year. Every single year I vote for him.
Yeah, Rob's great. So I think that there's, this is still a new thing, comics YouTube. Though it's, it really started like, I guess in 2020, but there were people that were doing it way before us. Like I've been doing it since 2015, but not really into comics until 2016. But when I was starting out, like I was looking and it was Benny, it was Rob, it was Sal over at Comic Pop. It was those were the people that were doing it, right? There wasn't this like big giant community that was out there. But Damian is just such an authentic guy, and he's been doing it for so long, but that's not even the reason why to nominate him. I mean, it's because he's been doing it for a while, and he's the one that, like, a lot of people, they try this thing. If it doesn't work for a few years, they may drop out, right? Mm-hmm. Damian's never cared about that. Damian's only ever cared about giving his authentic thoughts and opinions and sharing his love of comic book collecting. And
he does his thing. He's articulate the way he speaks. He brings people together in the comic community. There's a lot of introductions and a lot of people connecting with each other through him. There's a lot to be said for that.
Yeah, 100%. And so my vote this year went for Damian because I thought it was kind of stacked against him this year with Benny being nominated in the year of his unfortunate death.
Well, here's the thing. Is it fair? Is it fair to put people in there? First of all, I think it's disrespectful to put a person that's deceased in a voting kind of thing. Just honor.
Well, I'm sure it put Benny in a lot of people's minds.
And it's not only him. It's also TiVo from Lords of the Long Box.
That's right. Well. That's right. Yeah, I never knew that guy, but yeah, I heard that was.
He passed away as well. Just honor them. Put them in because they're deserving. They have the longevity. They have the track record. Put them in.
Well, one thing they could do is, I mean, I'm not saying that you need to model everything off of the Academy, but your Hall of Fame could be like just an honorary thing, and then you could also have a moment that they do at Heroes. You've been at Heroes. If you've been to the art auction and shit, they do this bit where they read the names of the people that we've lost, and the Oscars do that too, right? Like that could be something that could be a part of it that's separate from the Hall of Fame award, if that makes sense. But I mean, Benny deserves to be up there. Damian deserves to be up there. I think Rob deserves to be up there.
Rob, from year one, I was on the.
That voice alone, brother. Right? Come on.
The guy's so happy about everything, even if it's shit. He likes it. He loves it. He loves what he's doing.
He just like fucking spoons it up, right? You know what I'm saying? He does, dude. He does, and he does it with a passion and an energy, man. He really does.
That's charisma. That's what we were talking about before. That's charisma. That's
charisma mixed with production quality.
Comic Pop, Sal, you know him?
Yep. Oh, I don't know him personally, but I've been following him for years.
He's another guy. These are great channels. People, I'm flabbergasted that a lot of people are not familiar with a lot of these channels if they're in the comic community. The other thing is, don't pit them in competitions for Hall of Fame. Honor them for the work they did.
I can see that for sure.
When the time comes for your channel to be reviewed for that, it should just go in. It shouldn't it shouldn't be pitted in a competition versus other ones. A Hall of Fame is Hall of Fame. It's not vote of fame. You get what I'm saying? That it disturbs me. And and I always said that about Damian. I feel he always had the stack against him because of that reason. He's always going against popularity contests.
Yeah. Well, he's the one I've always campaigned for. You know what I'm saying? Because I think that he really deserves it. But so I remember Bueller was telling me, like, he's told me a few times, but he told me again just a couple of weeks when we were hanging out. But he was like, yeah, I won a Lifetime Achievement Award. So I'm like, am I done? And it may have forced his early retirement next year. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, I don't want to win a Lifetime Achievement Award or a Hall of Fame award yet. I want that to be something like down the road. You know what I'm saying? I'm not done. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, Damian's not done. There's a lot of other people not done, but there've been people, if you look at if you give a Hall of Fame award, right, the honorary Oscar in the first 10 years of the Oscars, you don't have too much history to dive into. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
But some of these very first like generation dudes that like have done things that nobody else has done, like break millions of subscribers. You know what I'm saying? There's a very small handful of comic YouTubers that have done that, you know, and Benny and Rob are two of those dudes, and they definitely deserve those flowers for sure.
You need to show them the respect they can.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
you know,
And it would have been great for Benny to get that while he was here to enjoy and appreciate it, I think.
I'm sure
Same thing when I think Cartoonist Kayfabe should get that award, because they were, out of all of comics YouTube history, that's my favorite comic book channel.
You think they'll ever bring back that channel in a different form?
I don't think they will.
You think that's it?
No, it's up to Jim, and I don't know if Jim will do it. I don't think so. I think there's a lot of pain associated with that to Jim
Honestly,
and even Ed's family. So
it is such a sad situation, how everything happened, and I, you know, I know everybody's focused on what happened with Ed, and clearly the man took his life, and you had a lot of travesty going through his family and friends. But I think Jim got a really raw deal on that situation. Yeah, I think he really did, and I'd love to see him make a comeback in some way.
I would love to see him and Tom continue it and bring in like Jim Mahfood sometimes, and some of those other dudes. I would love to see a resurgence of Cartoonist Kayfabe and giving. And I think the proper way to do it would be to bring in some other people, like especially Tom, because Tom used to be there back in the day, right?
Yep.
Tom's got his own channel with the Total Recall show, which I love, but it's a different kind of channel, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that him and Jim could bring it back. And I think the right way to do that would be to give at least a third, if not half, to the Piskor family, because they are doing a great job of carrying on Ed's legacy. 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know who has the rights to the channel or not, if it was under Ed or if it was under Jim, but they'll have to figure that out. But I'd love to see them come back in a different way and continue on the legacy of that.
And honestly, I think Ed would like that. And I just think that maybe right now, I mean, this is still fresh, right? Like, I didn't know Ed personally. I don't know Jim like personally, but I've met them several times, right? And we're in the same industry, right? And I've communicated with them, and you know, that was the why I go to Heroes Con, was to see Ed and Jim. And there was like a whole bit like, where's Rockin' Robbie? Go find the Cartoonist Kayfabe booth. That's where he's going to be. And it was true. I was up there all the time trying to talk comics with them. And I love those two dudes. And that day, April 1st, man, I hated it. I woke up, I saw that Ed had posted something on Facebook, and I looked at it, and I was like, oh, he's making a statement. Is he going to finally just clear all this shit away? And then I realized what I was reading, and I was in contact with a bunch of friends in the community, and that was a rough day, man. It really was. I didn't think, like I said, I've met Ed just a handful of times, had very little interaction with him outside of that. But his loss really, really affected me, man. And it made me rethink a lot about what we do on YouTube, because right before that, I was asked about the Ed situation, you know, with the grooming allegations and all this shit. And I was trying to like make a statement where I didn't come across too negative or too positive about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was trying to tread that line, and then the next day happened. And I remember my live stream after that, like, I knew it was going to get brought up. So I just went right into it, and I got emotional, man, because it really affects me, and it still affects me today. But it's just a sad situation where we as a community, as an industry, the comic book industry, I mean, when I say the community, I don't just mean the YouTube comic book community. The comic book industry needs to be better than we are. You know what I'm saying? We don't treat creators and fans and even publishers, right, and some of the executives as well as we should. And we have an anemic industry that is shedding members every year. And people can come up with all these crazy numbers. They add in things like Dogman and manga to make it seem like it's more robust than it's been. But, bro, I lived through the late 80s, consciously aware, and the 90s, and I've seen what 1996 to 2007 was like. You know what I'm saying? I've seen this industry at the lowest point in my lifetime, and the lowest point in its lifetime, honestly. Like those early 2000s, late 90s, nobody was reading comics. Like nobody. I remember wearing Iron Man shirts to high school. People would be like, who the fuck is that? You kidding me? Now people know the name of Tony Stark, right? Things have rebounded a lot, but we're not a healthy industry. And one of the reasons why is because we're shitty to each other. We're shitty to creators. We're shitty to fans. We have this like gatekeepy fucking thing. Like who gives a shit?
Have you felt that gatekeeping? I was talking to Bueller about that yesterday. Do you feel? Did you feel that when you first were coming into this and trying to put your foot through the door?
Like in comics or in YouTube comics?
In the community, whether it's through YouTube, social media, even in the show and con type of situation. Like when you first started setting up.
I don't really deal with it, but I've been reading comics since 1986, right? So I was if that ever happened, I would have been able to back up my claims, right? Because I'm kind of knowledgeable about it because I've read so much, and I also studied the history. Like especially in my early 20s, it was a big deal to me. I was paying attention because I've worked in comic shops for a while now, and in the early 2000s, in my early 20s, I was very consciously trying to listen to the older readers, the dudes that were like a generation above me. Who do you like? Right? Because I got, they would talk shit about some of the artists I liked. You know what I'm saying? But I was like, well, who do you like? But they introduced me to like John Buscema and Bernie Wrightson and Neil Adams. And then Jack Kirby, who I finally started appreciating in my early 20s, because of my love of things like Mike Mignola and Mike Allred, led to the Kirby love. I was super into Frank Miller too when I was a kid.
Did you hate Kirby's art when you were a kid?
Oh yeah, I hated it. I thought it was too square, too blocky.
Yeah.
It wasn't what I liked. My first favorite artist, the first name in comics I ever knew was John Byrne. So John Byrne was like my dude, my first dude. And then that became Jim Lee. And then Jim Lee became Frank Miller when I started reading Sin City. And then Mike Allred, Mike Mignola. And then I started getting into the indie comic stuff. Like indie comic sounds weird to say about some of these properties because I think Hellboy is like a big brand, right? But books other than the big two, right? And those creators, and I started getting into that. I was into Bendis super early. I used to send him snail mail, right? I used to send Bendis snail mail back in the days when he worked at Caliber Press and he was first releasing Goldfish and Jinx and stuff like that. So I'm a little bit old school nowadays, but I wasn't old school in my early 20s, but I listened to those old school guys and I learned the history of comics. And that got me into shit like Johnny Craig and Harvey Kurtzman and the EC stuff. And then Will Eisner and Carl Barks, and understanding that comics is more than just John Byrne, Jim Lee doing X-Men comics. You know what I'm saying? So that really elevated my understanding of comics as an art form. And that's something I wish, if there's one thing I want to do with my channel that I could think I could do better, is showing how important all of the comics history is. Not just what's new this week, but all of it, right? And I've tried it in various forms, but it's still a nut yet to crack. So,
well, the only way to do that is put a weekly or a sequential series. It doesn't have to be weekly, but it needs to be a periodical type of series that highlights that. It could even be once a month, even pre-recorded, but that's the best way to do it. And if you have the resources at the time to be able to put into that, I think it's very much needed.
Yeah,
for a lot of people to get educated from.
I think so, especially now that we don't have cartoonist kayfabe. And that was one of my favorite things about them, is that, for instance, like Daniel Clowes, like I did a series of videos about Daniel Clowes because he's one of my favorite. Like I love 8 Ball and I love Patience and I love, why am I blanking right now? Wilson and oh my God, David Boring and Death Ray. Like I love the work of Daniel Clowes. I did a series of videos. It doesn't seem like people cared. So I think like Rockin' Robbie Live is my venue for that, being able to actually, when I'm able to like free ball and talk to people, to be like, I get that all the time. Like, what's your Mount Rushmore of comic book writers or comic book artists? And then I start going into the names and I start getting, but I wish I could like find a way to get people more into the history of comics without having to do a lot of editing. So
extremely necessary. I mean, you could there's ways to go about doing
well,
that.
Tropes does it a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Like Tropes does it a little bit. He does really great stuff.
And he doesn't do heavy editing.
I don't know. He does more editing than I do, man. I just want to be a talking head for like an hour and a half going.
I'm sure you can
I
find your
I
army.
tried the live stream format. I tried the in-house format with we used to do a show called Comics Revisited. And we would like do a mix of like silly shit and like real shit too. But I don't know. Some of them work, some of them don't. But I don't know. It's not all about that. What eventually happened was time constraints.
Yeah.
So it's still something I want to do. It's still, that's the one thing I really feel like that's an egg I want to crack for my channel, is figuring out a way to really do that and get it on a lot of eyes. Not because I want the extra views or whatever, because views on YouTube don't mean shit. You know that, right? Like people think, like people tell me, they're like, oh, you've crossed this many million views. How much money does that mean? I'm like, $400. I don't fucking know. Like it's very minuscule, you know.
Yeah,
We don't make a lot of money here. So.
You're not living off of it. Maybe in Alabama. I don't know about
no,
not in New York. I can promise you that.
Oh, I guarantee that. But I live in the one town in Alabama that keeps getting put on these best places to live lists, and my rent continuously goes up every year because of it. We're like, stop talking about us, man.
Don't get me started on rent. All right.
What do you pay for rent, for instance?
What does an average apartment go for, or house? Like, what's more rented down there, apartments or houses in Alabama?
Well, more people probably buy, and I don't know that, but I rent an apartment, right? I have a 2-bedroom apartment, and I pay below the average because I've been here for a long time. But the average in Huntsville, Alabama, is probably about $1,300 to $1,500 a month.
Or a 2-bedroom apartment.
Yes, but but maybe that average is actually different, because now they're building these new apartments in downtown that are going like $5,000 for like a 1-bedroom studio. But I think that most people I know pay between $1,300 and $1,500. Okay,
so for $1,300 to $1,500, you can't even get a shitty illegal basement apartment in New York.
That's bullshit, man.
To show you the context, the difference.
What would like Seinfeld's apartment cost today?
You're talking about at least $4 or $5 grand.
Jeez,
where he was in the city? Yeah,
that's ridiculous, man. Oh yeah, he lived right. Was he in Manhattan? Was that where he was?
Oh yeah, he was right in Manhattan.
Yeah, Jesus.
And that was like a little apartment, but you know what? The location, he was like right. I think he was like uptown in the setting in Seinfeld.
Yeah, I think so. Man, that's ridiculous.
Different world, I'm telling you. It's wild.
I believe it. A pack of cigarettes down here, I think, is $8. What is it, like 25 now where you're at?
$18.
Jesus Christ!
If you go and buy them in Manhattan, you're paying around $20.
That's ridiculous.
I get my cigarettes from Virginia.
Yeah, so I used to smoke. Now I vape, but I used to smoke, and at my height, I was like about a pack a day smoker. So that's $20 a day. That's ridiculous, dude.
Yeah, pretty much. I get them for half the price, but I get them through like a guy. Everybody has a guy, so I get them from a guy.
Fell off a truck in New Jersey somewhere.
Don't worry about what truck they fell off. I get them from a guy.
Okay.
So now you go to the vape. You feel that you feeling better because of the vaping?
I've been vaping for years now, and I feel better because my car doesn't smell like ass. My apartment doesn't smell like ass. I don't smell like ass, and it tastes like peaches and pears. So it's cool. And yeah, like all this is, I used to have tremendous heartburn. And when I quit smoking cigarettes and went full on to vaping, my heartburn went away. Aside from that, like breathing is fine, you know? So I do like breath work and shit in the mornings, but like, yeah, I would like to not be addicted to nicotine. Like who wants to be addicted to something? But I don't know. We all got our vices. We do what we do. You know, I like to ingest nicotine and other substances and try to enjoy my life the best we can. Yeah, Bueller, breath work. I told you about that shit. Get out of here.
What exactly is breath work?
Breath work's like conscious breathing. Some may call it meditation, but I don't want to give anybody the idea of like some kind of weird shit. Like just conscious breathing, focusing on that and breathing the right way, stuff like that.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, we all breathe too much nowadays. I think it leads to a lot of anxiety. But we breathe too much. What I mean is like we don't hold our breath out as much as we should, you know, and like we actually have a carbon dioxide lacking in our breathing because we breathe too much, because it gets us like kind of anxious when people take these quick breaths and shit like that. I don't whatever. Nice, stop breathing. Whatever. I'm not clever enough to really talk about it, but like we don't have high enough CO2 levels because we breathe too much, if that makes sense.
Well, we try not to breathe here and hold our breaths as much as possible when we're walking the streets.
But you don't hold your breath. Well, you would hold your breath out, right? So you'd breathe in, say 4 counts. You hold it for maybe like 4 counts, and you let it out for say 6, and then you hold it out for like 9 seconds or something like that. Or
no,
maybe
we just try to hold our breath so we don't smell the shit that's around us when we're walking around in the streets. That's what we do over here.
Well, you got to hold it out, not in. And there you go. I am a good breather, Bueller. Thank you.
So you talked about how like when you were when the Piskor thing happened and you had to talk about it on a live stream. How important do you feel it is, like when there is topics like this, whether you know the individual or not, to at least address it and put some kind of commentary in there for your viewers in there? Do you think that's important? Do you think that the people that are watching you want you to give them some opinion, or maybe sometimes to give some comfort to people when you're speaking about topics like this?
Yeah, I do think it's important. I'm not trying to elevate who I am or my position or anything like that, because like I said, I think we're very low on the totem pole, right? But no, like when I follow people, like I followed Ed, and when the allegations came out, I wanted to hear what he said about it. You know, it was important to me, and it sucked that he revealed his thoughts a little too late, right? Because he would have had a wave of support, right? You saw the wave of support that happened. So like, yeah, maybe there was somebody else out there who was like dealing with it, who was going online on Twitter, and all you see is this like fucking nasty shit where people are like, fuck him, he deserves to be dead anyway. And then other people just like, what the fuck are you talking? And this argument coming out.
Isn't that wild? Somebody takes their lives, and then you got people immediately jumping on and harping on it. Good for you, kind of a thing.
Yeah, dude. And Ed named names, you know, and I used to follow some of those people, and I don't anymore because I lost a lot of respect for people. And a lot of people that were like, it doesn't matter what the fuck somebody did, unless it's like truly heinous, but like a loss of life is a loss of life. And I do think it's important to be able to provide a balanced, genuine and authentic and educated opinion on something when you're able to provide that.
Yeah, and it also provides a comfort to some people that are listening to you that might be taking it much differently than you are. Maybe they're taking a lot worse. Sometimes they want to hear somebody else bring them down from that where they are. And you said that, yeah, there's a different state of where you are on YouTube as far as how much outreach you have. But the truth is, if you got a couple hundred viewers watching during one of your live streams, you know what? Those are a couple hundred people that are watching at that moment that are listening, and you're influencing in one way or the other. You are influencing.
Allegedly, yeah.
You know, so that is something that I think people need to take a lot more ownership over and understand that whatever they say here on these platforms, they will affect people one way or the other.
100%. I mean, we see it on a more massive scale, like when you go out into things like the realm of American politics or some shit like that. But if you have any kind of a following, any kind of influence, and let's be honest, everybody's an influencer, right? Everybody's got people.
Thank you.
Everybody's got people that like listen to them, right? And we have a responsibility to that and to our words and how we portray certain things. Not saying I want anybody to be fake, But like, I don't know. It's a common tropey thing to say, but you know, if you don't have anything good to say, don't say it at all. But at the same time, I review comics. I will review comics that I don't like. I'll tell you why. Comics by people I know, and I'll tell them why I don't like them. But what I don't do then is go on and make a series of videos about why this comic book sucks and you shouldn't buy it. I give
You
my
don't harp
honest
on it.
opinion. I move on. I don't harp on it. Yeah. Fuck that.
You ever get some major backlash over a bad review?
No, I never
But
have.
you're not really like, you're not malicious with your bad reviews.
No, but I can be very harsh on Marvel. And Marvel actually quoted one of my bad reviews one time in one of their YouTube videos. It was when Empire first came out, and I gave it a scathingly bad review. But I did say in it, I mean, unless you're like super into the Kree Skrull stuff, then I guess this book's for you. And they quoted me saying, if you're into Kree Skrull stuff, this book is for you. So I was like, all right, there's some positivity for you. So there you go. But like, I'll shit all over. certain books.
Yeah. But that's not malicious. You're not like. First of all, people think it's okay to shit on Marvel and DC because they're the big two and they're like the evil empires kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So like nobody gets angry with that unless you're Marvel or DC. So the writers and the artists that are involved in those projects, I'm sure, don't get happy about the getting shit reviews on there.
Most of the people I know in the industry, because like once I started like doing more interviews with people and getting to know, and you know what it's like at places like Heroes Con and other cons, like you're up there, you're having drinks with people, you're schmoozing, all of a sudden you're in the crowd with Daniel Warren Johnson and Jonathan Hickman, and you're part of this conversation, right? And I've been accused of shilling to have access to these people. Dude, all of these people that I meet that know who I am and what I do, they tell me, I want you to tell me exactly what you don't like. Like, if you don't like the book, I want you to tell me that. And I want you to tell me why, because I guess there's the difference between harping on something, you know, just to hate read it or hate review it, and constructive criticism. But if I don't like something, I typically drop it all the time. And all the time I get comments. They're like, you stopped reading X-Men and Hulk? Yeah. Yeah, who's got time in their life for books they don't like? Come on, y'all.
But that's kind of what I meant. You're not malicious about it. I've seen other guys that are malicious and like they harp over and over again and they just beat something to the ground because that's the popular thing to do at the moment.
I'll do that with Amazing Spider-Man. That seems to be the only book I really do it on. So
what did he do to Spider-Man?
And then every 60 issues I quit. And then like 10 issues later, there's a new relaunch. And so I start again and it just goes, Ben Templesmith, I love his artwork. I did not have a good interaction with him when I met him, but you know what? Who cares? He dresses nice. He's snazzy. So it's cool.
Oh, you don't like Ben?
No, I like Ben. I like Ben Templesmith. I like his work. I think me and him both were talking shit and neither of us realized it because I think we were both too drunk when we met each other. And it was a weird, oh, I know.
He drinks. I know Ben well.
Yeah, Ben's I have no problem with him, but we had a weird interaction. But like I said, I think it's because neither of us really knew that what we were doing. I think we were both trying to talk shit and be funny, and we were both too drunk at the time, probably. I mean, we're talking about like two like bars down the road from me, like not down the road from me physically, but like we're at MegaCon, we go hang out, we go to another place, and we're like, what else is open? And that's where the interaction happened. And it was a little weird. It's a little weird. So, but it's fine. Ben's fine. Who cares? He dresses nice. He really does.
He does. Listen, he's an interesting dude. I've had some conversations with him. And if you ever want to hear a funny story, ask him why he's banned out of Baltimore.
Oh, shit. Okay. I will. Ron V is great. Ron V is one of my favorites. Ron V is top-notch, super cool. And I even shat all over his Carnage book, so he's cool with that.
So clearly you have your favorites as encounters that you've had with creators and that kind of thing. Oh, who's your worst encounter that you've had?
My worst encounter with a creator?
Who let you down? There's you know what they say, never meet your heroes kind of a thing?
Yeah.
Who did you meet and say, what the fuck?
My number one is not a comic book creator, but he's connected to the world of comics. It's Lou Ferrigno. That
I've
guy's a
heard-
fucking douchebag. I'll tell you that.
Why? Why? He's deaf.
He's just a douchebag. There is the Claremont interaction, but I've had more positive interactions with Claremont than bad. But the last time I did a panel with Claremont, fuck that guy. Are you serious? Like, don't blame me because you're confused between Genosha and Krakoa. And don't blame me for knowing the fucking timeline better than you. Fuck off, Chris Claremont. That last time I did a panel with him.
Well, I got a lecture from him last time I saw him. I think it was in New York when I saw him last time, and he fucking gave me a lecture and he wanted me to give him examples of the new stuff of what I like, just so you could trash it every time. I'm like, oh, I don't want to play this game.
Yeah.
Like name a writer, modern writer. Okay, this is what he did wrong. Like, dude, I don't want to hear it.
So, I mean, it's like there's one negative interaction with Claremont out of like.
But why
10.
Ferrigno? What did he do to you?
All right, so Lou Ferrigno, this is early 2000s, so I'm in my early 20s. I'm at Wizard World Chicago, 2002, right? And Lou Ferrigno was there right next to Virgil, wrestling legend Virgil, RIP, right? So Lou Ferrigno's there, and I had just had Bruce Jones sign one of my Hulk comics. Bruce Jones was doing the Hulk run at the time. Thought it was amazing, really great work. John Romita Jr. was on that run. Mike Diodato was on that run. Really great stuff. I loved it. And I was like, let me get Lou Ferrigno to sign my Hulk comic that I just got Bruce Jones to sign, one of my favorite writers at the time. And he refused to sign it. He would only be like $20 and you get one of these pre-signed photos. It's like, I don't want a photo. I just want my book signed. I'll pay you $20 to sign it. He refused to sign it, said he had nothing to do with the Hulk comic. He didn't really want to acknowledge me beyond that. My buddy Jelani was there, and it happened so long ago that I actually did a video early in my YouTube career where I did a video called I Forgive Lou Ferrigno. But that's the one most negative interaction. Like, I hated that.
But you know what? I can't be mad at him. He actually stood by his conviction. He said, I had nothing to do with that comic. Why do you want me to sign something I had nothing to do with?
Maybe because you played the fucking Hulk, dude. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying.
Yeah, but like it's different if you give him a photo cover Hulk of him on there or something.
Yeah,
like
but they would have to pay him a likeness right. They're not going to do that. But I didn't want a fucking photo.
There is a Rampaging Hulk magazine from the 70s that has his image on there.
Well, you know, he was here at our local con a few years ago. They gave him the key to the city because apparently that's something he asks for when he goes to a con. Is he asks them, "Can you get me the key to the city and have a ceremony for me?" No shit, dude. Look it up. There's so many keys to the city ceremonies with Lou Ferrigno. But here's the thing, like, I would totally do that if I could. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's badass. Like, I got the key to fucking 30 cities. I've totally gotten over it. But at the time, that was like one of my first con experiences, and everybody else was so nice to me. It was the only negative interaction I had.
You're not the only person to say that. Like, I've heard a lot of people get really, really insulted and upset with Lou Ferrigno.
Yeah, well,
for me, he can't do anything wrong.
He was here like I said, he was at one of my local cons, and a bunch of people came up to me because I work at the comic shop here. And they came up and they would be like, "You're right about him. He's kind of a dick bag, man." I was like, "Yep, there you go."
I've never met him.
It is what it is, man.
I never met him, but I know that the first time I go and meet him, I'm going to say, I don't care what anybody says to you about you. You're not a dick. I want to see what his reaction is going to be when I say that to him. Listen, he's my Hulk. He's the guy I grew up with. Like,
I get it. I watched that show too, man, back in the day. I wasn't there in the 70s, but I guess on reruns or whatever. They played it all the fucking time. I'm
not that much older than you. Like I am. I'm 47. So.
Oh, nice. Okay.
But
cool.
But that 4 years make a big difference in programming.
That's a high school career right there.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. Virgil did die. I think last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When that dude fucking turned on the $1 Million Man, that was one of the best moments of my young life, dude. I was like all fucking amped up for that shit, dude.
You want to hear bad experience? When he was alive. Meet Virgil at a con. See how he'll try to shake you down for money. He was notorious.
He was next to Lou, but I didn't even go meet him. So I was devastated, dude. I was devastated. I just wanted him to sign my fucking Hulk comic, man. And you know, I say $20 for a signed photo. Pre-signed, by the way, doesn't seem like much, but back in 2002, that was a lot. Just saying.
I get it, man. I definitely get it.
But yeah, Chris Claremont's kind of a douchebag sometimes too.
I heard that from a lot of. Listen, I got a love-hate relationship with a lot of these old timers because they love to bitch, but I love to prod them to bitch more because I get a kick out of like how angry they are with the fucking world.
Have you met Howard Chaykin?
Yeah, he's angry at the world.
I love him though. Like I had a buddy, so I got to meet him last year for the first time. And I was like, fuck, I don't have any Chaykin stuff. Like I need to find a copy of American Flag or Black Kiss or something like that. And I couldn't find anything in time because those are books that don't typically come in to the shop. But a buddy of mine was like, yo, you're going to meet Howard Chaykin. Will you get him to sign my Star Wars #1? I was like, bruh, please. Do not ask me to go get Howard Chaykin to sign a Star Wars #1. He's going to berate me. So I went up to him. I was like, this is not my book. This is for a friend. I'm a big fan of American Flag and your work on The Shadow. And he goes, this fucking book. And he goes into his tirade. And I was like, I loved it. I love it. He's funny. He hit on Bueller's mother one time. It's live on YouTube. You can still watch
Yeah,
it.
he told me one of the I forgot what it was. Yeah, Chaykin, he's an interesting dude. Yeah, really, really interesting dude. You know what I did to Shooter? Out of all the things to ask him to sign,
What?
I went to Shooter and what was it? DePalco. And I had them both sign me my issue of Kickers #1 from New Universe.
Oh shit.
and here's the funny thing: I'm holding other books of theirs in my hands. They're like, "Why do you want me to sign this and not those other ones?" I'm like, "Because nobody else is going to ask you to sign this. These are your shittiest comics. So I want to have the only one." And they're like, "What the fuck?"
That's great.
They went on Jim Shooter. I went on about an hour and a half, 2 hour conversation with him. No exaggeration. Just him going off on what I told him. I'm like, you got screwed by Marvel when it came to New Universe. He gave me the best story you could ever get from him. You know, that's why I like these old timers. They're bitter, they're pissed off, but you get some great stories out of them along the way. As long as you're like amused by the stories and you're willing to listen to them.
Yeah. I did a panel with Jim, and Jim Shooter was nothing but awesome when I met him. He was
I love
great.
Jim Shooter. Mount Rushmore for me. I don't care what a lot of people say, but he was one of the. If it wasn't for Shooter, the industry would be very, very different.
Oh yeah, dude. Shooter was the one that started giving creators royalties and equity and started fostering licensing like in a new way at Marvel. And a lot of people say, well, the Shooter era led to the McFarlane and Liefeld and Lee and Silvestri era. Yeah, that's a good thing because that's when comics were healthy. Regardless of what you think about those artists or their personalities or the content, it's exciting when a lot of people are excited about comics. You know, when you have to go and you're in line to buy The Death of Superman or X-Force #1 or some shit like that. That was an exciting time that we don't have today. You know what I'm saying? It just does not exist today in comics.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And Jim Shooter had a lot to do with that, man. Secret Wars alone, dude. Like Jim Shooter's the GOAT. When I did my thing, I was like, what's the book you're most proud of? And he said Heroes for Hope, because they raised a lot of money for like the AIDS in Africa or hunger in
That
Africa.
is a great collaboration. Very overlooked.
Dude, he got. What's crazy is you go back and look at that, like dig it out of your back issues, go back and look at it. Stephen King, George R.R. Martin, names that like you can't get in comics today, really. You know what I'm saying? Like back in those days, like super cool. Shooter's amazing. Shooter's the reason why we had Frank Miller on Daredevil, Walt Simonson on Thor, Claremont. Like if you look at that late 70s through the late 70s to the mid 80s period at Marvel, that might be, outside of like Kirby and Lee in the 60s, the best era of Marvel ever.
He mended fences with Kirby.
Yeah.
Actually gave him some of his art back that they were holding hostage on him.
Yeah. Yeah. A very small fraction, but what he could there. Jim Shooter is a good dude. He's a businessman. When you're editor in chief, you got to be a creative and a business guy. And those two worlds clash all the time. And they definitely clash. They definitely clash in your head.
You know what it is?
And he got
Everybody
fucked
hates
by
the boss.
Valiant, dude. He got totally fucked by Valiant. 100%. 100%. So.
Well, he didn't do a great job with Defiant either, though. But let's not talk about that after.
He didn't, but that was a lack of adaptation to what the early 90s was in comics.
A little too late with that one. So I did a lot of looking around, okay? Bueller could tell me how great of a guy you are, how great of a guy you are. There's no drama. There's nothing that could peg on you to like give everybody like a shocker. And quite honestly, you're pretty damn clean as far as your reputation is concerned. There was only one thing that came to me a couple of times from a few people. And this is something that, you know, it could be personal encounters. It could be just bad day on your part. It could be a couple of different things. And that comes down to a couple of people mentioned that you kind of scared them away or didn't feel, they make them feel right about what they were asking about when they came into your LCS and that kind of thing, as far as made them feel a little stupid or that kind of thing. Did you ever have any kind of encounters like that in the past, like where people come in like as new readers and new comic collectors? Because LCS guys have a reputation for that.
Yeah. So there was a time where my life wasn't going very well, and I was kind of bitter about a lot of stuff, and I didn't always project myself the best way in my day-to-day life at my job, right? And that was coupled with gaining more responsibilities at my shop. I'm the store manager now, right? And I'm nowadays I'm mostly in the office, right? But like I would have like, there were instances where I would have bad encounters with customers. That's part of retail, right? If you work retail, you know how it goes. And sometimes you're on a bad day, sometimes you're on a bad stretch. And I, through people in my life that loved me, was able to recognize that and move beyond that. And since then, I have had no negative interactions at my shop, and we're talking years now. I'm very focused on my task and my job. And as I got more responsibilities, I would be trying to do this on the floor, and it would cause these issues where someone would say interrupt my focus and my flow state, and it kind of disconnected me. But we've corrected that. And that's a very small percentage of the people that come into my shop. Most people that come into my shop really dig the vibe of the shop, what we've cultivated there, and pretty freaking cool. So what's up,
Well,
comic?
like I said, it's not an overwhelming majority of what I was talking about, but there were a few people that brought it up to me and said, you need to ask about that. So
Oh yeah, dude, 100%. I will tell you this. I can be an asshole sometimes, and it's been a conscious effort in my life, especially over the last 2 years, to be less of an asshole, and at work longer than that. So yeah, yeah, it's retail work, man. It is what it is.
It was a bad patch. I get it.
Sometimes you have a bad day, like Lou Ferrigno, and that's why I forgave him, you know? So, but there's that. But no, like, that's something we all have to deal with, man. Sometimes we have bad interactions with people. Sometimes we're not in the right headspace. And I spend a lot of time trying to make sure I'm setting a positive intention for whatever activity is to come up, whether it's work or hanging out with family or friends or loved ones, or just going out or just going online, streaming, shit like that. So it's about the intention you're trying to bring. And sometimes we all just lose our intention a little bit because we get a little bit too reactive, if that makes sense.
You yelled at Bueller?
Did I yell at you? When did I yell at you? I don't remember yelling at you. I may have.
He said you did.
I believe him. When was it, man?
Did he cry?
I've seen Bueller cry, but not in front of me. I've seen him cry like when he would get emotional sometimes on his comics and coffee show. You know the moments I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
He'd read a really touching like comment and he would get emotional. Bueller's one of the most emotional dudes out of all of us on air. 100%.
He's like a big sensitive bear.
He is. I love that dude so much, man. I've made so many friends here on YouTube, but that dude is the best friend I have. I love that guy.
Well, it
I,
seems
I
like
would I would kill somebody for you, Bueller. You just let me know. You just let me know whose throat is it. We got it. It's all good.
you like him better than Walrus Mustache.
he's not a YouTube friend yet. He works for me, bro.
Just making sure where your loyalties lie.
My loyalties lie in my family, my family of friends, and Bueller's a part of that. So
That's a great way to start. That being said, you got yourself in the comic shop. You don't look like a typical LCS guy. You're not about 100 pounds overweight. You don't have any gravy stains on your Hanes t-shirt. Your hair is combed.
thank you.
You
It's
don't
not
smell
combed. I don't
BO.
use a comb on my hair, man. I use my fingers. You don't.
I've
use
been
comb.
around you live in person. You don't smell like BO.
Oh, thank you.
So why did you choose to be different from everybody else and not fit with the norm?
When I was a kid, I had two role models: Michelangelo from the Ninja Turtles and Zach Morris from Saved by the Bell. Now, the Zach Morris thing may not have aged as well. I know a lot of people kind of deconstruct the behavior of Zach Morris, but what I meant was I always wanted to be the cool guy.
Did you know
Right?
Screech
Yeah.
died?
What's that?
Did you know Screech died?
Yeah. Dustin Diamond? Yeah. He died years ago.
Well, I just found out recently. I'm devastated.
Oh, bro, that's heartbreaking, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why when they did the reunion show or whatever, the reboot, remake, requel, whatever the hell that was, I never watched it, but he wasn't able to, he wasn't there. No, but I just want, I like cool things. Like I grew up loving like fucking music, especially hip hop, and like I love movies and I love cool movies and fun things. And when I was a kid, comics were cool as shit, right? And they got to the point where they're not cool, but I didn't give up my love of comics or movies or toys or just nostalgia or any of that kind of fucking shit, right? Like I fucking just wanted to be cool. And what's crazy is like, yeah, I've worked in comic shops for over 20 years, right? So like there are like those comic book people, then there's this comic book people, we used to call this is the cool kids that just get Vertigo books, and have cool hair and shit like that. And I don't know, I love myself. I love my life. And I think part of loving yourself is presenting yourself in the best way that you like, to self-actualize, to be who you want to be. And to me, it never like meant anything, but like, I didn't make a conscious decision to stand out, because even back in the day, there were the cool kids that collected comics. But above all in my life, all I want to be is cool. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully so far so good. We'll see what happens. So yeah.
Are you a believer that like you're running a retail business, you're the manager there, or even if you're a clerk or whatever the case, you're behind the counter dealing with customers. I'm a firm believer in presenting yourself as a business person and presenting yourself in a way where you make the person that's coming to you and making a purchase from you or making a deal from you feel good about themselves making a purchase with you, and not like looking at you and like being in like, what the hell? Like, like this guy is running a business kind of a thing. I think there's some kind of respectability as far as how you present yourself when you're in that type of environment. And I think that's a really important thing. Do you see like reactions from people differently when they see like you're well groomed and you're representing yourself well? And I don't know how the place is, but I've heard a lot of good things about your place, and I've seen pictures and videos of the place itself. And it looks like a really nice shop, and it looks organized. It doesn't look like a heaping mess where it hasn't been swept or mopped in about 200 years.
Yeah,
it's not one of those kind of situations.
No, the staff has
How
to do that.
important do you think that is?
It's very important. It's very important because I've been in those shops. I've worked at those shops. I've ran those shops where you feel like you're in somebody's dingy, dusty basement or something like that. What I love about my shop and what I love about the idea of comic shops in general is that we can be like a serious business, which we are, and take things very seriously, but at the same time, we're more loose and lax and fun oriented than working at the mall or at Walmart or Target or Best Buy or even Hot Topic, right? We love our staff to show their personality. Personality is what causes connection with customers, right? Certain customers will connect with certain personalities in the staff. Then they can recommend books and games and shit. You know, that's like, I was a really good salesman when I was on the floor, because what I like to do was get to know, I would notice what people were buying, right? And I'd be like, hey, I see that you're reading a bunch of DC books, but you're reading this writer, this artist, this type of story. You should check this book out, right? And it would be something that they never even thought about checking out, like East of West or Hellboy or Madman or something like that, right? And it would open them up to a new world of comics, where comics now is not just the genre of superheroes, but an actual valid art form, right?
They
So
gave somebody else a chance.
Yeah. And I like to cultivate that. And so what I'm trying to do with my staff is like, get to know these customers, pay attention to what they read in the gaming side, because we do games and all that kind of stuff too. Pay attention to what they play, like learn about them, and then you can make recommendations. And all of a sudden you're selling more copies of East of West than you are, I don't know, like Incredible Hulk or something like that. And to me, that's an amazing feat when I can bring a book up to that level in my shop and know that that's abnormal from the outgo. I think we need more of that. You gotta hand sell these books. And I'm not on the floor every day. I spend most of my day now doing computer work, doing orders. I'm not on the floor as much as I used to be, but I still have certain customers that will come and speak to me in the office and shit like that. But I'm trying to ingrain my employees to know, and I have the best staff we've ever had right now. And we are very solid. And so I'm trying to that's what I'm saying. Like, I try to tell them, get to know these customers, give them a recommendation that they like. You pretty much got a customer for life. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's how I've garnered it. And even though I'm not on the floor every day now, that's what I do with the weekly comic book review. These are the conversations I have at the new comic book day wall every Wednesday. When I go out there, and when Jelani and Brooks show up, and I go out to the wall, and Brian's there, and Robbie from Earth 2 is there, and other people, like, these are the conversations we have, or the conversations we have on the channel. So it's important to me to get to know people. And I like having the knowledge that I have about comics so that I can be like, hey, when people come in, they want a book recommendation. I go, have you ever read comics? No. What are your favorite movies? You give me like 3 or 4 of your favorite movies, I can give you a comic book recommendation that you'll love. You know what I'm saying? So
I know for a fact you've heard tons of people tell you brick and mortar's dead. Right? You hear that all the time.
Yeah.
LTS is dead. This is dead. Clearly, you have a business that you're part of that's doing very well at this moment, right?
Yeah, I would say so.
What do you say to people that keep saying that that's dead? Is it the business that's dead, or it's the old model that's dead?
Well, the old model is dead because, first of all, what you got to do is diversify. All right. If we just sold comics, we would have to be a much smaller operation. But we sell board games, we sell Warhammer and miniature games, D&D stuff, Magic, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, toys, vintage and new, plushies. We sell all this shit. You know what I'm saying? Because it brings in a lot of people. Like, and sometimes people are just the guy that buys toys. But sometimes that guy that buys toys will see a game that interests him, especially if the right employee can point it out to them. I noticed that you buy a lot of horror toys. Check out this horror board game. Have you ever checked out Betrayal and House on the Hill? That kind of shit, right? That crossover. So it's about diversifying and trying to have that crossover within your customer base. Bring in people from all over, and then have a comic fan turn into a toy fan, right? Or a toy fan turn into a game fan, or whatever, right? So I think that's very, very important to have. Outside of that, there are a lot of people, I think, that are sell comics. There are a lot of retailers out there that I don't think like comics. So if you don't like comics and your business is selling comics, you might want to rethink your business strategy. You have to be passionate about what you're trying to do. And if you don't have the passion, do something else. And I think there's a lot of retailers, through no fault of their own at times, but they allow themselves to get beat down by publishing tactics and customers, and they allow themselves to get beat down to the point where they're bitter about their industry. It's like that teacher that hates teaching. That's bad for teaching. And the comic retailer who hates selling comics, that's a bad mentality too. So
It's also a businessman that's not a businessman.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, they are running a business, and whether you get stories like this all the time where people are so angry with their customers, which are the ones that are fueling their business, and they don't know how to cultivate that pool of people in a way where it's going to make them thrive. In your business right now that you're in, are you doing only brick and mortar retail type of sales, or are you doing online sales as well?
We do online sales mostly through. So we'll do sales like there's a few people on like Facebook and Instagram that will message the store and we'll take care of it. Right. We have like a whole internet shipping department. Right. So we'll send it to them and they'll take care of it. Or we don't have it set up on the website right now, but we do the eBay, we do the whatnot, all that shit. I think we do a lot of card, like Magic the Gathering stuff on whatnot or something.
Gotcha.
I think that's what they mostly do up there. I'm not a part of that. That's like I'm the store manager, but it's a department that like is separate from. We have multiple departments in the store. I think we have a great shop. The guy who owns it is a guy named Ed Walls, and he started that shop in 1995. And Jim Rugg one time told me, you should brazenly and boldly put that up in your sign, established in 1995, the death of the comic book industry. He was like, he started his business the worst time to start a comic book business, 1990,
not wrong,
right? And he's still going. And I used to run a shop that was his competition back in the late 90s and early 90s, right? And he has survived because he is the reason why that shop has made it through, because he is the businessman. He knows how to make these decisions. It all comes from a love of comics and gaming, right? And he was able to see talent in certain people, and we got put in certain positions, and we were able to help really grow that business over the last 15 years. And it's become a beast, I think, amongst comic shops. There are bigger comic shops. We're not Midtown or anything like that, but for where we are in our location, I'm very proud of our shop. We're about to hit our 30th anniversary next year. So that's pretty solid.
It's funny that you mentioned Midtown, because that's the biggest one that's around me. And quite honestly, they have a really nice setup as far as the shops are concerned, the way they look. And they also obviously have a very strong online presence with their catalog and how to do the FOCs and all that stuff. But their staff is shit. Like, nobody knows anything.
Really?
You ask people about something and they're clueless. They got like nothing offensive, but like when you got like a 16, 17-year-old working in the front and they don't know jack shit about comics and they're not into anything, and you have customers coming and asking and trying to get some guidance to get some to make some purchases, that hurts the business.
Yeah. Well, so for instance, like I got a more recent hire. He's been there for almost a year now, right? But he's 21 years old, right? And he's become one of my favorite employees. And when he first started, he didn't really have any experience with comics. He knew nerd stuff, right? But he didn't know comics or anything like that. But he had worked in mall clothing retail, So I knew he knew retail and how to play with customers, right? And so we hired him in, but just being there, this motherfucker started reading comics. He's buying Warhammer models. He's into Magic the Gathering. It's a fun place to be And you can't help but, even as an employee in this place, be influenced by that. I didn't grow up a gamer. I wouldn't consider myself a gamer, but I play Magic the Gathering. I play some board games. I don't have enough time to devote to as much as maybe other people, because I read a lot of comics, I watch movies and all that kind of stuff. But even the job influences you, and it's cool to see this dude not even a year into the gig selling comics to people, getting to know the customers, selling games, selling Magic, doing all this kind of different stuff. And that's the environment we try to cultivate now. And we've really done a good job with that. My staff is absolutely great. What's up, Jim Mint?
Well, apparently there's not enough drama for Jem over there for you.
Oh, you want to talk about why he kicked me off of his channel then?
Well, you know what? That's a perfect opportunity because that was on my agenda.
For real? Was it?
Yeah, what kind of conversation are we going to have if I don't at least bring up what happened with that? Because we got Jim.
I'll tell you what happened with this.
He says he loves you, but he kicked you off anyway.
The same thing that he told you the last time. This is what happened. So me and Jim we met because he invited me and a few others to a show that he did where he came up with this idea to do like a spoiler review show of the best comics of the week or the month, right? I stole that idea once he ditched it, and we ran with it, and we won the CBC award last year for best collaboration, the monthly comic book review. Very excited and positive about that. I love doing that show. It's great. Me and a bunch of people just talking about our favorite comics. But Jim started that idea, and and him and Bueller was there. I remember, and it was the first time I met Bueller, and super fun, super cool. And we just kept in touch. We're similar dudes. We're near a similar age. I think he's a little bit younger than me, but we like the same shit. We like Street Fighter. We like shit talking. We love comics. We love early 90s comics. We love Venom. So me and him just got along very, very well. And then, he was on my channel a couple times, I think. And then he reached out and he's like, hey, I want to do this top 10 video. And like he told you before, I told him, just so you know, the top 10 is going to fuck with your weekly review, but I'm down, whatever. Jim Mint we got together, we filmed it. He put it all together. He cut all that shit together. He did an amazing job fucking doing that shit. And I had fun doing it. Right. And I had a lot of fun with Jim Mint, like making those videos on the shit y'all don't see, where we fuck up a line which was rare, but this is like the bullshit in between. Like, it was so much fun. But no, he had an idea. Jim Mint, what I love and respect about him is he ain't going to waste time on something that's not working, right? So he had an idea of where he wanted to be with this top 10 video at a certain point. It didn't hit those expectations. And so he cut it because it was taking too much of his time to have to cut all that shit together. My rambling, he had to cut together. I would randomly sing. He would do these fucking zoom ins. This is a dude who's got production value. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
He would put that time in, but he wasn't getting the viewership, and it was fucking with his weekly reviews. And he was like, man, nothing personal, but we're going to drop it. I'm like, I completely get that. And me and him are still cool, have always been cool. And I love that dude so much. And you're right. We don't talk enough, Jim. So I'll reach out to you very, very soon.
So
I love that dude. I have nothing but positive things to say about him.
How was that experience with him as far as learning? Because clearly at the time he was a larger channel than your time. Were you able to absorb a lot from him? Well, yeah, but you're growing right now as well. You were smaller at that time when you guys started to link up. So
yeah. Did
you learn a lot to help your YouTube creation, like just absorbing shit from him? Because I'm a big adapter. Like I listen a lot around me. Were you able to get a lot to put into your channel to make it what it is different today?
Yeah. Well, okay. So Jim Mint's right. He hated my microphones with all these extra fucking things. He had to crop all this shit out all the time. He fucking hated that shit. On the thumbnails, he fucking hated that shit. But no, what I learned and really respected about Jim Mint was how similar we were and how different we were. Like, we both have a hustle mentality, but differently, right? So he is very much like, this is the goal. Here's where we're going to go. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, we got there. Fuck yeah. Let's move forward. Or we didn't get there. Let's readjust and boom, boom, boom. Now we're going to get there.
Well,
Me,
do you
sorry,
consider
go ahead.
yourself an alpha?
I think that's a fallacy. That idea.
Oh, no,
But
do you consider yourself an alpha? Like as far as how you hold yourself out on a daily basis?
I
Because I know Jem considers himself an alpha.
I'll tell you something my girlfriend has told me. You always have to be and demand the center of attention in any group you're in, and you usually get it. So there's that. So
Do you think that might be a problem? Too many cooks in the kitchen, kind of thing. Two alphas in the same room that made
no, not
didn't
at
let
all.
it grow better.
No, because even if you have like alphas together, you get 7 alphas together, they all eventually come up with a different kind of order, right? And that was Jim Men's show. I was there to do what I did. We did it. We had a lot of fucking fun with it. It ended, and that's fine. Like, do I miss doing the show? Honestly, no, because I had to be there every Wednesday night at a certain time, and like sometimes it's just like that. But no, what I loved about him was that we were similar in that we had drive and ambition, but that we were different in how we wanted to go about getting that, if that makes sense. Like, I'm way more like, I don't give a shit. I'm just doing it in one take. And I told him that. I was like, because he would give me like advice. He'd be like, dude, if you did this, this, and this, your videos would pop better. And be like, yeah, bro, I know, but I ain't going to do that. Sorry, bro, I ain't going to do that. No, but me and Jim Men are very, very similar, I think. And we have some slight differences. But yeah, I learned a lot from him. I got these neon lights because of Jim Men. So that's all for you.
He influenced you.
He did. Of course he did, man. I love that dude. I love that dude so much, man. He gave me an opportunity to be on his channel and get more eyes on my channel, hopefully. He gave me an opportunity to meet other people in the community. And that dude I've never seen him say a bad word about me. I've never said a bad word about him. I think we're genuine fucking friends. And I think me, you, and Bueller need to get together and just fucking go camp and just hang the fuck out. 100%. So
camp? Like camping?
Yeah, like camping or do some bullshit.
Like marshmallows and fires?
Yeah, I don't think Jim Mint likes to go out partying, going to the clubs and shit, you know? I know that. I know he doesn't like doing that. So something like camping, I think, would be more cool. We just get to hang out. Fuck yeah! Let's do it. Bueller, let's set that up. Okay? Let's set that up.
All right, you guys go camping, and when you're done with your camping little expedition, then you meet me at the bar. Then we have the real good time.
And then we tell you how much, like, bro, you weren't even there. We saw another universe open up in the sky. It was great. Fuck yeah.
I'll be there sitting with the bodacious babes and say, hey, guys, we're here.
You always are, man. You always are. Hey, man, how much longer? Can I go pee? Is that a thing that we can do? Can I go pee?
You go and pee.
Can I? Because you know that's a bit I have to do. I have to go. I mean, I have to go pee.
Wait, do you have a prostate issue? Because Jem does.
No, I don't think I do.
Okay, he pees about 20 times in a stream.
Does he?
Oh yeah.
I thought I was the one that peed too much.
I was on a stream with him and he peed a lot. But you know what? You go pee, and I'll entertain everybody for the next moments that you're peeing.
All right, thank you.
And
man.
then we'll wrap up when you get back. How's that sound?
It sounds great. I appreciate that.
Beautiful. Now I'm gonna let him out. When he comes back, or should I leave his little Jimmy Neutron head out up there? You know what? Jimmy Neutron needs to stay up on there. That's what we need. Yes, we all know about your pee breaks, Jem. We all know about the pee breaks. Clearly, what's it with you, youngin? You're telling me I need to get a prostate exam, and all the young guys are they're peeing every 10 minutes. You see me going for a pee yet? I haven't gone for a pee. Yeah, I don't get it. So I'm going to tell everybody now while Robbie is peeing. If you got any questions, start putting them in the chat, and I'll start starring them so I get a chance to answer anything before we wrap up when he gets back. So what do we got? We shall... No, we should not. We should not. You go. Tell me all about it. I don't want to get one. No, I don't want to do that either. Bueller, take him for the prostate exam. You guys go. I'll hear all about it. I'm not 50 yet. When I'm 50, then I'll do it. All right, I will ask him that. That'll be my first star question. How's that sound? We'll make sure to ask him that. But it's funny how what the fuck did I don't know what you just walked into. Jim was an influencer. Yeah, he was. Yeah, no, he was a first time influencer from this season, and he was influencing us last season as well. He's a 2-time influencer. You drinking more stuff now? You're gonna have to pee again.
Yeah, I'm fine. But I love Jim Mint. I think he's super cool. And I love Bueller. I think to me that's always been like a trinity for me in this comic book YouTube space was me, Jim Mint, and Bueller. And when we were all like doing shit together and just hanging out like on stream and shit, that was one of my favorite times in this journey. That's been wild and super fun. So maybe we'll get Jim Mint back on the channel soon. So
have you gotten a prostate exam yet?
No, but I'm at that age, bro. I need to.
50. I'm under the awareness that you have to be 50. They're telling me to go.
They tell me 40 is when you need to start getting it.
I don't want to get it at 40. Why do I have to get it? It used to be 50. Then why does it have to be 40 now?
I guess it's better if you know. Do they knock you out nowadays for that shit? Is that what they do?
I don't like that. I'm listening to their updates. They'll tell me all about it. And when I'm 50, I'll go get one.
Yeah, it's 40. We're overdue, bro. We need to. Yeah, we're overdue.
Well, if you're overdue, then I'm like well overdue.
Yeah, everybody's telling us it's 40, so I guess we need to do it. Should we make a YouTube vlog about it?
Well, I want to listen to Ozzy. He's telling me to get a colonoscopy too on top of it. I don't want to get a colonoscopy either. The prostate's the finger, right?
I think that's the part of the whole thing. Oh yeah, colonoscopy is when they put the fucking thing. Damn. I don't.
Yeah,
we should do that though. Every man needs to do that. Apparently, past age 40. So, especially I guess if you pee a lot. So.
Well, I'm dating a doctor now. I'm going to ask her. I'm going to tell her.
She's probably already done the prostate exam, then, right?
We don't talk about that. So we'll figure it out at that point. Just poop in a box. Okay. We could definitely do that. So I started telling people to start asking questions now while you were away, just in case there's any questions that they want to ask me before we wrap up. But there's one more thing I wanted to actually ask you. So you've been on here since 2015, 16, doing content of this nature, right?
Yeah.
You got a good you created a good impact on the in this sector of YouTube, and you have a good presence on social media along with IG, which I have both in the description. So anybody that wants to go and link up, if you don't know his channel already, just go and hit him up in the description. It's in there along with his IG. If there's any other links, just let me know. I'll put those in there as well. But you've been growing over time. What is your aspiration? What is your goal of what to do with your content, with your channel? Like, is there like a goal that you want to hit? Like, are you going for that 100,000 plaque? Do you want to? Is there something like a vanity thing that you want? Just to say you did it.
When I first started, the goal was 10,000, right? So when we hit that, like a buddy of mine actually made me like a fake YouTube congratulations plaque, right? So I have a 10,000 subscribers plaque. I just like seeing the growth. I like seeing videos doing well. Our movie night reviews some of them are doing very, very well. There's the most watched videos on our channel as far as view time and views are some of the movie reviews that we've done, right? So I'm really proud of that because I think we have a really fun like movie review podcast type thing that works of sorts, kind of like a commentary because they're very long form. But that's what I like. I like long form. I like bullshitting and talking for a while. as far as goals, though, it's just I want to just continue to grow the community. I don't care what the growth rate is, right? But just to be able to continue to do this, to be on YouTube, to have a say, to have a voice, to garner a community, to have people surrounding me that are amazing and uplifting, to not just me, but to everybody around us, that people feel that it's a welcoming place to be at. I love that. I love that our growth has always been steady, always been natural. There were moments like during COVID, it spiked a little bit and then it like leveled back out, but it's always just been super solid. It's always been good. But for vanity's sake, yeah, I want a 100K button. Who doesn't? Like, I want one of those. I don't think I'll ever get it, but yeah, it's
Well, why do you say that you wouldn't get it?
I
What do
don't
you think?
know.
What do you think is holding you back?
What's holding me back? The
Yeah.
fact that like I'm not Jim Mint, right? The fact that I'm not like actively seeking to make my videos work. Like Jim Mint is so driven and focused on doing. I know that there was a time I know that recently he feels like he got away from himself and he's coming back to that. But like the Jim Mint that I got to know when I first met him was so driven about like, oh, I'm going to do this and this, and it's going to make the video pop better. I care about my title. I care about my thumbnail. And I'm pretty sure he still does that because that's the mentality that gets you there. Right.
Well, he wanted it. Like he wanted to get there.
And that's one of the differences, I guess, is I want it maybe a little bit less, like, because I'd rather still just fucking just bullshit, smoke weed on a stream and fucking sing all night for 2 or 3 hours or some shit like that. But Jim Mint's got that authenticity too. But he's just got this, I don't know, he's just got a way to like, he looks at it in a very professional way that I find very inspiring and very influential. But I don't know. Like I feel, I don't know. What is it? I don't fucking know. People tell me it's, well, you can't do movie reviews and comics at the same time. Who gives a shit about that? Jim one time told me about Benny telling him that your channel is not about one thing except for about what you want to do. And that's always what I wanted my channel to be, is like, I want to talk about what I want to talk about. Right. So I don't know. I think the reason why we don't grow is the number one video, the flagship that brings everybody back, is the weekly comic book review. Not a lot of people read weekly comics. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know how to break that fucking thing. It is crazy. I had a live stream Jim Mint do over 500K. It's on his way to 600K. That blows my fucking mind. So we're doing something right. I don't know. Maybe one day we'll get to 100K. That's just a vanity thing. I'd like to have that plaque. Dude, what am I going to be 69 at that time? I guess that'd be nice, but
Well, look at it like that. Like I look at it like from this perspective. If you really want it, like if you truly want it to happen, you could make it happen. It's not. Listen, I'm going to tell you something. I guarantee you, Gemma is going to agree with me on this. If you know exactly what it is that you're doing, the goal that you're trying to hit through this content, and you have some discipline of how to go about it and doing the right way. Plus, you got to have a little bit of charisma, like we said. You got to have presentation. You actually have to take it seriously. Yeah, you see jackasses out there that have a couple 100,000 freaking subscribers. You know what I'm saying? They're putting out garbage content out there. But you know what? Those jackasses with the garbage content are doing it methodically, and they're hitting it like every day. They're putting out shit that people want to see, a train wreck and that kind of thing. So they're getting they're getting those views, and they're getting the subscribers, and it's nothing different from what you're actually putting quality content that people want to watch. The only difference is you just haven't cranked it up to bring it to the next level. I think you just need to take that little knob and crank it up, a few levels higher.
To 11, right?
That's all you got to do, man. It's
now I'm getting re-inspired just thinking about those days working with Jim Mint, and you saying that y'all are kind of inspiring me now, right? But here's the thing. I had a good talk with my buddy Bueller, right, one time, and we were talking about how it's not the amount of subscribers or the amount of views, it's about the amount of engagement, right? And I feel like we have good, solid engagement. But man, you're right. I've had some ideas cooking in my head about some other things that may not be comic book related that we're about to actually be enacting in the next couple of weeks. So I hope.
And not
God
for
damn,
anything.
dude.
Not,
God
not
damn.
for
Jim,
not,
we need to talk more. I
Robbie, I'm
lost
gonna
my
tell you something.
inspiration.
Robbie, I'm gonna tell you, not for anything else. You more than anybody else, you live this shit. Okay, you work in a retail place. That's your day job, basically. You do pop culture and comic book related content. You basically, that's all you fucking do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's no reason why you shouldn't want it and go get it. Go fucking get it, dude. You're not like a maniac like me that just does this for freaking my own personal amusement, and I'm just freaking. There's a difference. You know what I'm saying? My day job, how I pay my bills, is I sell freaking real estate. There's a big difference as far as how much time and how much capacity I could put into the kind of content I put together. You live this stuff. Go get it, man. I want you to come back in a year from now and tell me you had fucking 100,000 and say, Journey, you're fucking right.
Jesus, that would make Dynamite Comics very happy. Trust me.
Because you know I'm right. You know
I
I'm
don't
right.
know, man. I don't know. Like, as brash and as like confident and arrogant as I can appear to be, man, like, I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe you're right. Bueller and Jim and you, CJ, I wasn't expecting you to be so fucking nice tonight, man.
I'm not fucking nice.
Yeah, you're not nice, but I'll tell you what you are. You're funny. You're comedic.
Funny how? What am I, some kind of clown? You
What?
amuse you?
You know, you're like funny, like, you know, how you like say things and it's funny.
Funny how?
I fucking love Goodfellas. What's your favorite gangster film?
All right, so I kind of split gangster films into two genres.
Okay.
Okay, so I put Italian mobster gangster films in a separate genre than all the rest. Just
okay, so like
because-
you're not considering, say, like New Jack City when you consider something like Goodfellas or Godfather.
yeah, even Scarface, I don't put in that same genre.
All right, that makes sense.
Or even Carlito's Way. It's a different, like, I put it in differently. I'm talking about classic Italian mobster movies. Those are a little different, like Godfather, Casino, etc., etc. Those kind of movies.
Yeah.
So for me, as far as overall gangster movie that I get most amusement for and more playability by is Scarface. There's so many lines from that movie that amuse the shit out of me as far as quotable lines that I love from there. Very watchable. I could watch that at any given time.
Okay.
But the best well-made movie, probably it would be Goodfellas. As far as gangster movies.
I mean, I can't fault you there, like, at all. Like, to me, it's Goodfellas, because because like, I don't want to be this guy. But like, Godfather is amazing to me, and I know everybody's on Godfather 2 all the time, right?
But they drag a little bit. Like,
yeah,
when you
I think the first one's the best one, right? I love. You work for Dynamite, my friend. You got their fucking sigil on your bus. You got the billboard fucking contract, but Godfather's so good. But yeah, there's that. But then recently, I think earlier this year, we did Casino on PCP Movie Night. Man, that movie gets better every time I watch it.
It is great. And Sharon Stone was hot.
Yeah, and Joe Pesci was like a beast. And honestly, I like The Irishman. It's got some wonky fucking de-aging CG, but I don't mind The Irishman.
20 years too late.
Yeah. Yeah.
20
outside of I'm on the Scorsese mind right now, but outside of like the Italian Mafia, The Departed is pretty fucking good.
Beautiful movie. I love that.
It's a really good movie. Scorsese really, Mean Streets is great. Like, it's hard to top that. I do love The Godfather 1, 2, and I do kind of like 3, but 1 is the one for me. I really love that fucking movie.
I didn't think the 3 was as shitty as people make it out to be. All right, it wasn't 1 or 2, but it was not a bad to the movie to the trilogy. It was all right.
I agree. It could have been better, but I don't think it's as bad as people. By the way, we've on PCP Movie Night, we've done Goodfellas, Godfather 1, 2, and 3, and Casino. So y'all should go check those out. Mean Street's coming in 2025. So
All right. So we got to start heading over to PCP Movie Night. I'm going to ask you one last question. I lied.
that's fine.
I said that was my last question, but I got one more question to ask you for myself. What's the situation with you and EXP? Explain to me that model. I'm trying to understand how that dynamic works on that channel.
Okay, so one of the people that is involved in the EXP, which the EXP, the experience, is a YouTube channel that does mostly live sales and a few other shows. They started in 2020. It was a bunch of comic shop owners and some publishers that got together and came up with this idea to recreate, in some sense, the comic book shop experience for people when comic shops were closed down, right? So you get like Jen from Space Cadets, you got Nick Barucci from Dynamite, you got these guys involved, right? So Nick Barucci is the publisher of Dynamite, and I have a working relationship with Dynamite where they pay me to be on a show on the EXP on Monday nights for 2 hours. They do a claim show. So I have a deal with Dynamite / I guess through Dynamite, but I guess Dynamic Forces, EXP, whatever you want it. It's all under the same umbrella, right? They're all connected in some kind of form. But I'm paid to be on one of Dynamite's shows on Monday, and I do a interview show on Friday to promote creators that are doing some of their upcoming books, which I've always loved doing creator interviews. So there's a combination of those two shows. Dynamite, I guess, is a sponsor, of sorts, of Pop Culture Philosophers, has been for over 2 years now. And Nick is a super cool dude. I love John and Rex, who I do the show with. Amy and Alex are awesome. So that's it. I'm just there to like talk shit, I guess, for 2 hours. And then I do my interview show on Friday. And they because of that, they sponsor the channel. And
okay. So I'm trying to understand, like when I say dynamic, I look at that channel and I see that there's something there as creating something a little different from anything else that's available on YouTube right now. And you got some people that have a presence that come on, such as yourself, such as Nick. Bueller has been involved in the past. There's been names that have come in there that could pull people in. They've had artists that they spoke to, creators that they spoke to. That pull
Frank
people
Miller
in.
on their channel, man.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff I'm getting at right now. And I'm looking at how that channel is growing, and I don't see it growing the way you would expect something like that would happen. And the one thing that I could say, just from an observer, is the identity of that channel. What is the identity? Is it a sales channel? Is it a review channel? Is it a interview channel? What is it? Like, I wish they took it almost like a cable, like an old school cable television type of programming, and they literally filled in all the slots 24 hours, even the late hour slots, even if they're infomercials, and turn it into almost like you're watching a cable TV station. I wish they turned it into that, and I think there's something to that.
I think that would be great. I've actually had that idea before. Like, I was like, what if we had content 24 hours a day? And then there was just no way to like feasibly keep up with that. That was an early idea I had. I was like, what if we made like a cable station?
But they can.
They could do it. Probably they could do it. They could bring you on to carry the late night. You know what I'm saying?
Well, they do have a opening for a maniac late night to come on there and entertain the people. That I could see that happening. But in all truthfulness, they could put documentaries on during times.
Oh yeah, like the old days of ESPN or Disney Channel, where they would play like the documentaries about shit like overnight.
There's just shit ton of Stan Lee things, Kirby things.
Yeah.
They could put all that stuff up. Why are they not taking advantage of that as a network? It makes no, like, they could literally have the ultimate YouTube experience for 24 hours.
Yeah. That's actually a really good idea. I'll bring it up to them. I'm not like super connected into their direction or what they do as a whole channel, right? Like, I'm involved in one show, you know, and then aside from that, I do like Dynamite interviews, and that they help support the channel because of that. So, but just so everybody knows, it doesn't mean I give kind reviews to Dynamite books. Just watch and pay attention to the weekly comic book review, and you'll notice that. But yeah, that's actually a really good idea for them. And Bueller, if you're still here, you should tell your bosses over at the EXP and Dynamite that they should look into that. That's actually a really good idea. I'll bring it up to him for real. Because you're right, dude. You're 100% right. PCP should be at 100K, and the EXP should be a very unique experience. In the
seriously, it's been what, 2 years since EXP started?
Yeah, there were 4, I guess. I think, did they start in 2020 or 2021? I don't remember.
All right, so there's even more time than that. Considering the amount of attention and the amount of brand names and other creators that have collaborated, gone into that and put in the effort into that, there's no reason why that shouldn't be a 50K channel at this moment.
Yeah.
There's no reason why.
Look at you, CJ, like calling out all these, like, y'all could do better. You should be doing better. You're very inspirational tonight. I don't think I'll be me and Bueller know some of the people behind the EXP, so we will definitely let them know, because I think you're kind of onto something, bro.
I'm telling you, I've been trying. Like,
I would love.
It's funny. I've been missing Nick. Like, we've been at events and we've been like almost 2 ships crossing in the night, and we keep missing each other. Dude. I've been trying to get his ear for a little while now, just to like say some of my thoughts on that.
Nick,
stuff.
if you do get to him, let him know, because let me tell you something. Nick has been awesome. Like, Nick is a super cool dude. He is a great guy. I fucking love Nick Barucci so much. Where was I going with this? I was going somewhere with this. Oh, it's an honor to me to actually be a part of that, because I feel like, because I was a kid watching Nick Barucci on QVC selling signed comics and shit, right? And I feel like I'm a part of that fucking legacy. But you're right, 100% about the idea.
It's funny you say that. It's really funny you say that, because sometimes I get a tendency, okay, this is a cool channel to listen to people bullshit and kind of talk. They had a couple of different segments like that when you're doing your interview stuff on there as well. And then other times I feel like I'm watching QVC or Home Shopping Network. And you don't want that channel to feel like it's QVC. You want to have your set hours that happens and make that part of the programming.
But when Nick was on QVC, it was different. Right? Like, it was different. Like Nick, man, when Nick comes into the show I do on the EXP, when sometimes he used to do this more often, because he's a busy guy. This guy's running a publishing empire right now. You know what I'm saying? And he's dealing with all these, they've been killing it with all these licenses lately. Like, Space Ghost is a really good book. Johnny Quest is a really good book. Like, what world are we living in right now? And they're getting some, like, the Terminator book's going to be good. Trust me, it's going to be really cool. And I'm not just saying that because they pay me. They don't pay me for my opinion. They pay me to, like, show up for these 2 shows. You know what I'm saying? And similar with Bueller. Like, we don't get paid to say kind things about Dynamite. In fact, Nick doesn't give a shit what we say about Dynamite books. He just wants us to be truthful. So I think that there's an energy that could be brought to that channel that's not fully there yet. But I don't know. I'll let them know, because it's been a point of conversation for a minute.
And then all the other content needs to have an identity. And right now I feel they don't have an identity with that content.
You're 100% on the nose there.
Your channel has an identity. Bueller's channel has identity. Jim Mintz has an identity. My fucking channel has an identity. We all have.
It does.
We all have.
Why are you not at 100K yet? Come on, man.
Why? I just told you why. Because I don't give a fuck. I'm basically just doing this for my own personal amusement. If I was doing this and I actually put resources and time into it, I could guarantee you, I'm doing an experiment right now where I'm just running through a couple of things. And I see growth happening without even really trying. But the thing is, I've run other YouTube channels that have actually made money, real estate-based ones. I'm familiar with how it works. I know how the algorithm works. I know how to be able to not only generate income from these channels, to be able to generate attention to these type of channels. So when I say these things, it's not like I'm just one ranting maniac that's spouting out ideas. I kind of know A, a little bit. I know a little bit about a little bit of a lot of things. So there's a reason why I say these kind of things. So that's what they're lacking. I wish you guys could like really hone into that and just find that identity and get that the destination channel for 24 hours. You know, make it the ESPN, make it the whatever you want to call it. Make it that cable, make it that weird ass cable channel that you couldn't resist watching as a kid because it played that alternate content. It needs to have something.
It needs a USA Up All Night, is what you're saying, bro. Come on.
Listen,
I could give them that. No, you're very inspirational tonight, CJ. This is very odd. This is great. This has been fun. I love it.
contrary to your belief, I'm actually a very intelligent fucking person. I know a lot of shit.
Oh, I didn't ever think you weren't intelligent, man. You pulled out the Jimmy Neutron bit. That was great. That was fun. There's a level of intelligence there, man.
Like I said, I know a thing or two about a thing or two.
And you like Kool-Aid, man. I used to have that pop. I sold all my pops pretty much, but
how could you not like the Kool-Aid?
I know, dude. Do you remember that Kool-Aid Man comic from the 80s, dude? I still have them.
I not only have that one, I have the OG one from 1975.
Bruh, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Who was Kool-Aid Man in 1975? That's awesome, dude. I'm very nostalgic about shit like that, dude. You remember when Captain Crunch went missing and the Sog Master killed him? There was like a board game and you had like this contest against the Soggies. God.
Yeah, that'll never happen again. No more sugar for kids.
Oh, they still make it. They just disguise it.
I want to advertise for it. When was the last time you saw a Captain Crunch commercial?
Oh, no, you're right, dude. This isn't, and it's terrible, man. Like, kids are going to want sugar no matter what. Parents can make their own decisions.
When was the last Fruity Pebbles commercial or Cocoa Pebbles commercial that you've seen? They don't do them anymore.
I don't know. I don't watch live TV anymore, but I know what you're talking about because they don't do that anymore, right? Same thing with like toy lines and like cartoons and shit. Like there's all this weird shit where they're trying to protect kids. Kids are going to be kids. Let kids be kids. We were fucked up kids. Look at us. We turned out okay. Right?
I guess.
Here we are tonight. So it's all led up to this.
I got a couple questions from the crowd for you before we sign off. Ask Robbie what a scrote neck is.
Yeah,
what
scrote
is
neck.
Scrote neck.
This is a term that is amongst me in my inner circle. Bueller has met Jelani and Brooks, and this is part of our shit we came up with over 20 years ago. But you know when all of a sudden one of your homies, all of a sudden people are into them, like whether it's men or women or they're a man or a woman, all of a sudden they got everybody wanting them and coming after them and showing them attention and wanting to get in their pants. We call that scrote neck. That means you got the scrotum on your neck showing out those pheromones. It's something my buddy Jelani came up with, and Bueller was slaying with the fucking ladies when he was here in my town a couple weeks ago. And we were like, you got that scrote neck, bruh. And he was like, what the fuck is that? And we told him, he says, that sounds gross, but it's what we call it, man. When you got the Riz, when you got the Riz.
How the Alabama ladies?
Oh, they're just like every other lady, man. They're amazing.
Now, I know the difference. Listen, do they have their teeth? I know the South.
Yeah, there are plenty of, I mean, like I said, I live in a different area of Alabama. Like, I know that sounds weird, but even Bueller can know 20 minutes that way or any other way, you're in Alabama. But here, it's a different Alabama. But yeah, there's a lot of fine ladies and gentlemen in this town. 100%.
Right, I got to come visit Alabama one day and experience all that it offers. We'll definitely do that. And I got another question. Have you sold your copy of the first Doctor Doom yet?
Yeah, I did. I actually sold my first Doctor Doom probably like 7 or 8 months ago. It hit a certain high, and I was in a financial spot where I needed to do it, and I did. And
no regrets?
No regrets. I read it multiple times. So No regrets. My only regret is that I didn't film a video with it before I got rid of it. I should have done like a top-down flip through, but I didn't. I think I
you can
still
always
could,
get it
though.
again.
I know the guy who has it, so I'm probably fairly certain I could still do that. So
You can always get it again in the future sometimes. After you get,
that's the
that-
one lesson I learned doing what I do in like the retail world. Whatever you have, whatever you want, it will come back around again. So
hey, when you hit 100K, you could go get one to celebrate.
exactly. If I hit 100K, I'll get a first appearance of Doctor Doom again. Still
There
got
you
my
go.
first appearance of Galactus and Silver Surfer though, so I'm happy about that.
Can we get a station out of CJ? Absolutely not.
Good try though, Fable.
We don't do the station over here. We do, oh yeah. We do other things, but we do not do station.
You got to run through a wall before you do that.
Absolutely. That is your thing. I'm not gonna actually steal your thing. You could keep that. That's all yours.
Okay, thank you.
Don't. We talked about that, Jem. Don't get him started with the station in the Bill and Ted and
It means be excellent to each other and party on, dudes.
all the positive fucking vibes. Too much.
That's what we do, man. Big Booty Judy. Bueller is coming back very soon, I think, for Big Booty Judy. So
All right, I will take Bueller's word for it. We're gonna go pick up Chicksa when he comes in New York.
hell yeah, dude. Bueller's fun to hang out with. Have you hung out with him in person?
Not yet. That's
Let me tell you a secret about
we
Bueller.
missed each other last year.
He's probably going to be pissed about this, but here's the
2 years
secret.
ago.
Bueller will not say no. He'll only say yes. And that's a philosophy he has in life that has influenced me and changed my life. So there you go.
Looking forward to meeting him. It should be fun. What do you write? I messaged her. Oh,
Big Booty Judy. She's a local wrestler in my area, and I took Bueller to some local wrestling, and I think he got sprung, bruh. So I don't know what the kids call it today, but back in the day we called it sprung. So
that Big Beauty Judy.
yeah, 100%.
She got a nice Southern accent.
I don't know, actually. I think maybe. I don't know. I've almost become like, I don't know, like insensitive to the accent down here sometimes. I don't sound like I'm from Alabama, do I?
Well, were you raised in Alabama?
Oh, yeah.
Were you really?
Yeah, for sure. Born and raised. HSV.
You don't sound like a
Southwest.
country bumpkin or anything like that.
Well, thank you. I wasn't born in the country. I was born in the city. But yeah, MTV, cable television, Miami Vice. That's why. I learned how to speak through Miami Vice. So
see, the problem is us New Yorkers, we think everybody else is country bumpkins.
that makes sense.
Or avocado eaters over in California. But
yeah, when we think of you, we're always like New York City, picante sauce. Remember that shit? Paste picante sauce. Remember that? Yeah, good shit.
yeah.
New York City. Now, like people down here, like seriously, there are people that come to my shop every day that I interact with every day. Other places, at the grocery store, the car wash, wherever the fuck I'm at. Hey man, what the fuck's going on with this shit? You know what I'm saying? Like it's just like, yeah, it's there, this Alabama accent. But yeah.
So you guys do have that. You're just the anomaly.
Oh, it's down here, man, 100%. But
so
I
you're
live
the
in a town
anomaly.
where I live in the town of like NASA and the Redstone Arsenal. So like there's a lot of implants. There's not a lot of like typical Alabamians here in my town. I was born and raised here, but like I said, cable television. That's the explanation right there, I guess. My siblings sound like they're from Alabama, though. I will tell you that. Like, if you met my brothers and my sisters, they sound like they're from Alabama. 100%.
So you escaped. You escaped. You went to a special school, I guess, to get rid of that whole accent.
Yeah, I think I just watched more movies and TV than they did. So
MTV school.
Yeah, TV school. 100%.
There you go. So that being said, I think we said a lot, right?
I hope so.
What do you
3
think?
hours? Man, come on.
I think we said a lot.
Yeah.
We could say more, but then if we say more, then we won't leave anything else for another time for us to visit with each other. So you kind of have to leave something dangling. That YouTube, you always have them asking for more. That's how it works. So that's what we're gonna do. But before we let everybody go, thank you to the chat for hanging out the whole night. You've been strong. Even all you cult people from his, we know all you culty guys. I appreciate you coming by here. Gemmit, that's how you hit 100K. Exactly. That's how you hit 100K. So we're going to make sure that who you going to go first to once you hit 100K? What channel are you going to come in and have an interview and talk to once you hit that 100K?
Jim Mint Collectibles.
No, that's not the right answer. The right answer is Comic Dirty.
Okay. I'll give you top 5.
No. You're going to come to me and say, you were right. I like being told I'm right.
Yeah, I'll be here if we hit that number. Yeah. Where are you going to be if you hit 100K?
Listen, if that's a big if, Michael, if I got determined one day to get to 100K, or maybe I did something really ridiculous, I went viral and got 100K, both ways could happen. I'll tell you where I'm going to go. I'm going to go to Disney World, like they used to. Okay?
Okay.
And I'm going to do a 100K celebration down in Disney World. And we're going to go on the rides and the teacups and all that stuff. And it's going to be wonderful. You know what? I kind of like that idea. So maybe I will
like
hit
that idea
100K.
too.
Because it's been a year since I've been to Disney World. Maybe I should go back again. So let's hit 100K so I can go there earlier. All right.
Guys, let's do it. Everybody sub up. PCP Army, if you're here in the house, sub up and vote for this dude for best hands and most comedic content creator.
And vote for Jimmy Neutron for best reviewer.
Thank you for your endorsement. By the way, my live stream is a live stream, so fuck you. Like saying that Rockin' Robbie Live doesn't count for that. That's community involvement.
No.
Fuck
A
you.
hangout is very different from what a live stream is.
It says best community live stream and or hangout. Come on.
That's mumblefuck speak. It's either a live stream or if it's this right now. What we're doing right now is
your
a
show
stream.
counts for that shit because you involve the community. I'm just saying, man. Whatever.
Listen, they would never give me a respectable award in that thing. Why? Because they know that I'm going to hang it over.
They need to put me on the board.
They know I will hang that over everybody's head.
They
once
should
I
put
get
both of us on the board. That's what they should do.
You know what? And maybe they'll have a very good protocol and a much more running machine as far as the awards are.
Yeah,
maybe, but they won't do that. I was on the board first year. They never invited me back.
Well, I didn't win that year, so that's probably why.
Well, they never invited me back. You know why? Because I had all the good ideas, and they didn't like hearing it.
Yeah. Okay.
But what are you doing the rest of this week? You have anything major coming up that you want to promote right now?
Oh, what day is it? Wednesday? Tomorrow night, we're in the middle of Horror Fest. We love horror movies. Shit, we didn't even talk about horror movies, bro. There's more to come.
I told you.
Yeah. So tomorrow night on Blood Splatter Chatter, we're going to be talking about a dark song. That's going to be super cool. I'm having a conversation with Mariano Nicieza on Friday morning to talk about their upcoming 40th anniversary Transformers card set. I am paid for that, but that's a really cool thing. I love Transformers, so pumped for that. Sunday night, Rockin' Robbie Live is back after a 2-week hiatus. And then Monday night, PCP movie night, we're talking about Ghoulies and Ghoulies 2. So do your homework, watch those movies, come hang out with us for a couple hours and chat about the awesomeness of those two movies.
Sounds good. Actually, are you going to leave Nicieza on the stream by himself this time again?
Dude, I'm glad you were there to see that. That was like that was so embarrassing. That's never happened to me before.
That was
right?
great. That was
Dude,
great.
it was great. So yeah, I had to message him and be like, so sorry. There was this hurricane was coming through the Gulf and it fucked up a lot of power lines and my internet went out. And dude, that was very uncomfortable. I was like, dude, I'm so sorry. You got to come back and do, because we were having a good conversation. But
Lord had mercy on that man's soul, because I was in that chat and I was not, I felt like for his age a little bit. And I'm like, I don't want to really fucking hammer him right now.
but he's just sitting there by himself, like wondering what to do. And eventually he just goes,
Turning it off.
I felt so bad for that, but it was a cool conversation up till then. But
Listen, a good conversation, and you got a good moment. You got
he was like, I'm sure you're gonna edit it together. Nobody's gonna notice. I'm like, nah, motherfucker, I'm leaving that shit up as is, dude. Like, be authentic. My internet went out. It happens.
Add that to your 100K highlight reel.
Oh yeah, definitely. I should start putting it together now.
Well, with your editing, the way you don't like to edit, you might as well.
Yeah, if I don't do it now, I will never do it. So let's get it started now.
All right. Make it happen. We'll see you when you're at 100K. Until then, good night, people. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Robbie.
Thank you, buddy. Station. Pop, pop, boom.
No station. Good night, people. Over. Done.